ready for another lesson?
It was a late entry this time, but that was intentional.
You wanted to let it ride.
I wanted to let it ride, as I usually do. Can you guys actually, we can all hear it this time. There's no Discord cutting it out, anything like that.
Why is that?
It's because we're all in person for once. So as you can probably tell by how long this episode is, 3.5 hours. We are all in person for the first time in a long time. Probably 6 months or so, maybe 5 months. I think winter break, sometime over my winter break would have been the last time we did all in person, right?
Yeah, would have
somewhere there.
Because I think when I came up for spring break, it was just me and Nathaniel. So that would have been the
sounds
only
right.
other opportunity besides last week, which was remote for you two. And here we are.
Can any of you recall the episode we recorded that was in person last time?
No, I can't. And it would take me a while to find out, I feel like.
Wasn't it Antlers?
No, that's
That was
October.
all the way in October.
Can't be.
But I think that one was in person.
Let me see.
I don't remember.
Well, Blake, while you try to find that out, welcome back, listeners, to Back Row Banter, your favorite casual movie talk podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Adam Schwartz, and on today's episode, the Oscars are reverting to their pre-pandemic protocols. We'll get to that in the news. Trailer talk this week. We have two trailers, the She-Hulk trailer and the new Mission Impossible trailer. The new streaming list is light, but there's a very exciting show coming at the end of the week, which we'll get to. The What We're Watching segment, of course, and then our main review for the episode is Men. But before we get to any of that, I'm joined today, of course, by annulment Nathaniel Gingrich.
What up? I'm annulment Nathaniel.
Yep.
I'm here to annul all marriages. That kind of goes with against my former life as a
Reverend?
a chaplain, or reverend, the
Rev.
Yeah. But I've made the turn now. I'm against marriage.
Yeah. Complete
At
180.
this point. Yeah, I've turned to not the dark side, I say, but just
a different side.
a different point of view.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You've been enlightened to the other side of things. You no longer join marriages. You end them amicably, without record. Leave no trace.
It's what I can do for you people.
Also joining us today is Trail Ty, Tyler Vidalis.
Hi. I do enjoy trails.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I could have guessed.
Yeah, I think anybody that knows me would probably guess.
Yeah.
That,
And a good trail mix as
Ooh.
well.
I was gonna
Ooh.
say, how do you feel about trail
I
mix?
do
Love
like a
trail
good trail
mix.
mix. I like them all too.
Mm-hmm. There's a Sam's Club trail mix that I get all the time at school where it's, obviously you have your assortment of nuts, raisins, but then, of course, you got to have that sweet, delicious M&M that's mixed in there
for sure.
that you're almost hunting for,
There's a one that I used to get. I haven't gotten trail mix in a while just because, dude, nuts are so expensive. It's crazy how much nuts are.
That's true.
But anyways, that's adult talk. Yeah, there's one that I used to get from Target. There's a sweet Cajun one, which is just
that's good
fucking
shit.
phenomenal.
Yeah, that actually sounds really good.
Yeah, it does.
Or there's like a peanut butter monster one, and they got like little peanut butter cups and
That's
like little
the one
peanut
I
butter
grew up
chips and like everything in there.
That
So
sounds awesome as
fire.
well. Both from Target?
For
yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Okay. I'll have to take a look next time I go.
Target's one is wild. Yeah, it's good.
All right. The grocery store nearest to the apartment complex in D.C. is a Target, so that'll have
Nice.
to be a go-to
Get
snack,
ready
I
for it.
guess.
Good and gather.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll have to go gather
Yeah.
the necessary supplies. And rounding out the squadron today, of course, it's Big Baby BlakeHolder.
Hey, what up?
Quite a lot of big babies in this movie, huh?
Spoilers.
Yeah. Yeah.
In some ways. I don't think
Tad
you
bit.
could say spoilers, but I don't think people would really guess what actually happens
Yeah,
in
it's
this
one of
movie.
those. Yeah,
It's
spoilers
one of
out of
those.
context.
Exactly. It's completely out of context because I don't know if I would have believed you if you told me what happens in this movie beforehand. But we'll, of course, get to that in the spoiler segment first. But first is the news. First on the news story here.
Real quick, before
Yeah.
we jump into that, I think the last episode we recorded in person is either Spider-Man or The Matrix.
Might have been
Does
The
that
Matrix.
sound familiar to anybody?
It does. That does sound right. Matrix, because that would be New Year's.
Right.
New
just
Year's.
about.
New Year's.
That was it. That was the 29th of December. Spider-Man was the 22nd.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know
It's
what
gotta
we
be one of
recorded
those.
the following 2 weeks, but it is a good chance that we didn't do all 4 in person. But yeah, I know Spider-Man for sure was. I'm pretty sure Matrix was as well.
Yep. We all sat here and put that movie in the fucking
In the
top
blender.
20.
No.
Well, Spider-Man.
Oh, Spider-Man. I thought you meant
top 20,
Matrix.
yeah, which in hindsight, I think we all regret. But
I don't. I love that movie. But there's
I
so many
digress.
biases attached to
Yeah,
that, so
alright.
I mean, which I will own up to and not take back.
Have we decided when we're gonna have our entropy list throwdown?
how is that going to work?
Maybe at 2
so
years.
Is that just kind of our
The
personal entropy list ranking again, or are we going to actually sit down and say, hey, we're going to change
Maybe
X amount of movies?
Maybe on the year 2 entropy list in review, where we give our personal list, we also do a council where we go what movies need to be adjusted.
Or you can pick 5 that you have to make an argument for or something.
Yeah, we could
Okay.
do that. I like that.
Do a death battle.
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm with that.
yeah, we could do that.
My number one might be The Descent sitting at whatever it is right now,
Ooh.
60 something.
Okay.
What about High Tension? Is that gonna be on there as well too?
I will veto. that
Possibly,
shit.
man. What is that? Like the second?
I will
the
veto that
second
shit.
to last movie.
You know
we
what?
have?
That's actually gonna be one of my 5 picks to move that movie down.
put it last.
Move that movie
I was
down.
gonna say, can Blake argue to just like make American Pickle the worst forever? Like,
permanent lock at the bottom. There's nothing that can go below American Pickle. That'd be funny.
Yeah, that's funny.
I think mine is maybe Judas. Every time I see Judas that high, I'm like, ooh,
mm.
maybe it was a bit of a honeymoon period there where it's just high off of that debut.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying boot
That
it
could be a
down to
really
the bottom, but
fun sentence to take out of context.
yeah, definitely.
that whole
Yeah,
bit.
yeah. But yeah, I think Judas could move down a notch or two.
Sure.
But of course, we'll take a look at that sometime in the near future. But anyway, in the news, the Oscars, as I mentioned at the top of the show, they're reverting back to their pre-pandemic policies where it's theatrical releases only. No more straight to streaming qualifying for the Oscars. It has to have a theatrical release in order to qualify as an Oscar pick, which is very interesting when you look at last year's Oscar noms, and many of them only came to streaming services. Power of the Dog
point.
being the most notable one. But like Coda, wasn't that another one?
Yeah. Which one for best supporting actor? I want to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's a very interesting development because we do feel like we're heading in a direction where more and more movies are going to come straight to streaming when we have like things like Prey, which seem like Hollywood budget
Right.
films, coming
true.
only to Hulu. And while Prey might not be an Oscar-worthy film, there along those lines there are movies that are just getting their budgets from these streaming services to be made, and maybe those streaming services don't want to pay for a theatrical release, so that's going to put things in an interesting spot.
There will inevitably come a year in which the majority of art that is released on streaming can be objectively called or argued that it's of higher quality than what's released in theaters.
Probably, yeah. Unfortunately, for us.
Maybe it's already happened. Who knows?
No, we haven't quite hit that turn yet, but you're right. I think we're getting close. Just because, like I said, I think more and more things are getting produced by these streaming services. And
Do you think this does anything for the Oscars, though? Besides maybe keep their name in somewhat relevance for the next 3 more weeks of the news cycle or something?
Less slaps.
I think it goes in the other direction. I think the fact that they're rolling back this policy where
I
streaming
agree.
services can't be qualified for Oscars is going to bite them in the ass. And I think eventually they'll have to go back on that.
Do you think we see the rise of another award show?
For movies,
Yeah.
the Banties.
Ooh,
Yeah.
whoa. Our own.
Good
Yeah.
answer. I
Yeah.
like that. That was
Yeah.
quick too.
No, the Banties. Yeah, we will be replacing the Oscars as the official spot to be.
What's our trophy going to be?
Maybe just 4 movie seats,
Okay.
bronzed and gold.
Just our faces.
We could do that. The logo. I don't know. We got to play with that. That's we got time.
Yeah.
We got time to make those trophies.
Yeah, I'd agree with Adam though. I mean, I think this is kind of taking a step back. At the end of the day,
Right.
you're limiting the amount of movies that you're able to kind of give these awards to, and you're just making your platform smaller opposed to larger, in my opinion. So
yeah,
I think they'll go and change that in the next few years.
They just seem so stuck in a different time.
Old times, man. You got old people running old things.
Exactly, yeah. If they really, if they're really worried about the relevancy of their viewing and everything like that, their viewership for these awards, like, they really got to catch up. Because I think they're getting passed up at this point. I remember the Oscars were the award show 10 years ago.
Sure.
And at this point, the Grammys are probably the biggest ones now, I would say, or at least the ones a lot of people, I think, my age or care about more.
Well, I guess that was kind of my point of what I was saying earlier, is that, like, it's not going to be the Golden Globes with as weird of scandals they've had as the last few years. Like, there's opportunity out there for some movie award show to reestablish themselves or establish themselves as bigger.
Yeah.
If they wanted to.
I definitely think they have room now, too. The Oscars are falling behind for sure if they don't fix something. Because, like I said, this is such a step in the wrong direction. But ultimately, it doesn't really affect us too much.
Until we start planning the Banties.
True, yes. And then, you know what, keep taking those other steps. The Oscars. We're gonna curate everything. They did make a few other changes, none like super dramatic, but they changed the documentary category. Instead of documentary feature and documentary short subject, they are now documentary feature film and documentary short film, which I like a lot because I think documentaries have often been like separate from being considered separate from film when they share so many of the same properties and qualities, and as far as their storytelling methods go. And although they're filmed differently, I think that the way they're filmed is like one of the only things that's different about them. Is, like I said, you have a lot of the same story structure that you have to do, and the storytelling can be very similar between a documentary. And I think the fact that some people don't see them as films is unjustly. I think that's a smart change. So,
for sure.
Yeah. There's a few other changes that really aren't worth mentioning that people probably wouldn't even know they're changing. So I'm just gonna skip past those. So those were like the two biggest things. And then the only other thing in the news this week, Daredevil is getting a show for Disney Plus. It is now in development.
Is that the show coming from Netflix? The Netflix original?
It is not. They are. I don't know if they're
making another one.
They haven't really said if they're like continuing that storyline and making that part of the MCU still. Because I think didn't they say those are no longer canon?
Well, yeah. Don't they have an inbuilt excuse with the variant thing?
Sure. Yeah. At this point, they're probably gonna play into that. But Charlie Cox will reprise his role, as we already know, since he was in No Way Home. So the same actor.
Yeah. So I imagine it won't maybe be like origin story, but it'll just be like some of the things that it'll be just treated like if you were paying attention, maybe some of the things that happened in the Netflix series happened in a similar way to that. And let's just all move on. Now he's in the Disney universe kind of thing.
Yeah, I can imagine that's how they're going to play that. Which is, it's like such a smart cheat code that I'm not even mad about the multiverse, because it's like they have to like retcon some of this stuff, and it's just like, okay, we can retcon it by saying it was a different universe, which is fine. But they just seem to be like playing into that a lot now.
Yeah,
I don't know how else they would.
I like, yes, I am happy for this, and yes, it is cool, and yes, I will watch it. But at the end of the day, we're ultimately building to a place where just everything is under the Disney roof. Yeah. And just like, I think about that with like, what happens when we get to that day, just like, what is that going to be like? And what is life going to be like after we get to that day,
I think, unfortunately, we could eventually get to a place where the new trend in films is crossovers. They are just crossing over all of these universes. That sounds terrible. It sounds horrible, but I think it could happen. I really do. I don't know if I want to get there, but I could realistically, I could see that happening, because like the big appeal for a lot of these Marvel films for the past 10 years is like, especially with like the first Avengers, it was like all your favorite movies and your favorite superheroes, they're all together on one screen, and that was epic. And then that novelty is worn off. Now it's like all of your favorite Marvel heroes meet all of your favorite Star Wars heroes. Oh, isn't that epic? And I go, oh, kind of.
Yeah, maybe? I mean, strictly from a money and revenue aspect,
Yeah.
I just
That
don't.
100% makes sense.
I don't think they'd
that
go for
product
those ones.
scares me though.
Yeah, I don't think they'd go for those ones. It would be the Fast and Furious and something. It'd be Fast and Furious and Mission Impossible or something like
You
that.
say that, but
I
Or-
still don't even want to see that.
whatever
shit.
will make them a buck.
Or no, and would be the legitimate one, DC and Marvel.
Yes.
You could finally do a
But
crossover battle.
That's
Yeah,
that would
inevitable.
require
That'll happen one day.
That would
for
require
sure.
a Warner Bros. Marvel, team up. But I'm sure they would make enough money off of that. Where it's
No, yeah, I'm
justified.
serious. Yeah.
Yeah,
That'll happen one day.
that'll
I
happen
give that
for sure.
20 years.
I really don't think a Marvel Star Wars one is that unthinkable.
I don't want to see that.
I don't either. But like I said, I think enough people would go watch that just out of pure interest. Maybe they don't make a whole series out of them, but like a one-off movie.
They're smarter than that. I want to give them more credit to the point where it's just not about the money, and obviously they
cash
know they
grabs.
can make money off of it, but I just, they have to have enough respect for the fan base to know that that's just not going to be sustainable.
Yeah, it would be
That's going to piss more people off than anything.
I think the closest you'd get would be characters from both franchises would end up in some sort of neutral franchise, or like a Deadpool showed up in
Sure.
some sort of fashion
okay.
or something like that.
I could see that happening too. But yeah, I think a crossover trend is maybe on the horizon. But I could be wrong.
Boo.
Wreck-It Ralph 3 will also be featuring Han Solo and the corpse of Stanley.
I could also see a Lego movie crossover between all of these.
Sorry, I broke Blake a little bit there, and I was just enjoying it for a second.
Lego movies game for anything.
Did you see that they this week they signed Stanley's rights in Image away for the next 20 years?
Lego?
No, Stanley's family for him to pop back up in Marvel
Really?
movies again.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Rest in peace, Stanley. But
Yeah.
Jeez.
Dark news, folks.
yeah. I guess everybody grieves differently, right? That's what they say.
Yeah, sure.
Mm.
That's what Kendrick says, at least.
Yeah.
So I've been told.
All right. Well, I guess we'll have to see what Daredevil ends up being. Probably.
Yeah, we didn't
pretty
even
good.
talk about that.
Yeah,
I
I know.
love Daredevil. This would be cool. We saw Kingpin in Hawkeye, and we saw Charlie Cox in No Way Home. So
Yeah, he's great. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I'm glad they brought him back because I've only seen a little bit of Daredevil, but I like
great.
him. I think he's great. Yeah. Well, that's it for the news here. Besides our little trailers for this week, it's been a bit since we've had 2 trailers in the trailer talk, but the stars have aligned this week. We get 2 trailers: Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning, Part 1, and She-Hulk. She-Hulk is a series. It's not a movie. Coming to Disney Plus. Let's see when August 17th.
speaking of a series that Matt Murdock could very well end up in or show up in again,
Would be
is
She-Hulk.
Attorney at Law, because
Due
Oh,
to the
yeah.
lawyers.
they're both lawyers. They
Yes.
done some lawyering.
Yeah, the full title, of course, is She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. Coming August 17th. A big time frame for streaming, as that's also when Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones is starting on
Oh,
the same time. So that's gonna be a wild time to be alive. 3 shows to watch every
Whoa.
week.
we'll all be glued to our Apple TVs.
Yeah.
I don't have Apple TV.
We'll all be glued to our streaming services of various choice and
Probably still
devices.
just watch YouTube and then boot up Amazon for Lord of the Rings, and that's it.
Ooh, are we just mentioning companies for SEO optimization here?
Yes. Sponsor us. Anyway, She-Hulk. We all watched the trailer before we started recording here. What do you guys thinking? Thoughts? Feelings?
I want this to be good.
I think it looks really good.
Yeah?
This is, of all the trailers for all of the Marvel shows that they've released, this is my favorite.
Okay. Wow. I did not expect that reaction, I will say.
Well, when I think back to the other trailers were what was the first one they did? WandaVision.
Yeah.
WandaVision was cool because it was they're doing TV shows now
Mhm.
and that are in the MCU. And then Loki, Loki was piqued my interest because I didn't know what it was, and it looked like the Umbrella Academy kind of thing. And then the Winter Soldier Falcon one didn't do anything for me. That was a Super Bowl spot that they debuted that at. But yeah, no, this one was funny, kind of witty. which is the vibe that I think this, according to Tyler, seems like they should be going for. I'm not too familiar with the character, but I soon will be. Mark Ruffalo is back as Hulk, of course, and I like him a lot. He seems to come into that role where he doesn't feel super awkward in that role anymore. I feel like for a little bit he kind of just, I don't know, his mark is his.
Well, there was a lot of inconsistency.
Exactly. Yes. And they've kind of finally found like a sweet spot for that whole character, especially after like the Endgame stuff. And have we seen him since Endgame? I don't think so, right? Because he was in Ragnarok and then Endgame.
Yeah.
And Infinity War. So I don't think we've seen him since then, because that was where his like permanent Hulk crossover
in this,
with what's the actual character's name? I forgot at this point.
Mark Ruffalo?
Yeah,
Bruce
what's his-
Banner.
Bruce Banner, thank you.
Oh, sorry.
The Banner Hulk.
right, and his arm was jacked up. His arm's okay
Yep.
in this.
Yeah, so we'll have to see. I am on board though.
Abomination is back.
Abomination's back, which is interesting. We haven't seen him since 2008. So lots to be excited about. I think it's going to be a good time.
Folks, we may need to pause for a second. A small dog has just entered the apartment.
And of course, it's going to take over all of our attention.
Yeah. Do you want to pause for a second?
Yeah, we definitely can, because this is important.
Okay. Should I just leave it running?
Yeah, let's just keep her going. I'll mark the timestamps.
It's 35:56.
What up, dog?
36 minutes now. 45.
Cool. She-Hulk. Not a dog.
Not a dog.
Not a dog.
Yeah.
In fact, the Hulk. But yeah, like I said, I think this is going to be one of the... I have hope for this one to be one of my favorite Marvel shows so far, because I think it currently stands at Loki. Haven't seen Moon Knight yet. We'll get to that over the summer at some point, for sure.
Now, I have seen on the Twitter rings lots of
the
people
Twitter rings.
being pretty critical of the CGI in this one. How do you feel?
At this point, I don't care.
Okay.
Like, you know, especially for like a TV show like this,
Mm-hmm.
at a certain point, like they only have so much budget, you know, and there's only so much they can do. Would I prefer it be practical? Yeah. Would I prefer it to be really good CGI? Yeah. But like I've seen too many like acceptable CGI things at this point where I don't care that much anymore.
I just think it's kind of like strange the difference in quality between like Hulk and her. And like granted, like I'm sure they have like literal blueprints to work from for Hulk.
Yeah.
But it just seems like the quality shift between those two seems a little bit
That's
excessive.
fair. It's also, they have 3 months.
Yeah, but does that really happen?
I think so.
You think they can
I mean,
like
that's what
continue
this-
to work on it?
Yeah, that's
in
what this
between?
time is for. I mean, once filming is done, they start sending the raw footage over, I'm assuming as soon as they can, to get CGI done. And then they keep working. That's part of the post-production is CGI. So obviously this has been in post.
I wonder if like by now they're all doing post on freaking Love and Thunder or something already, you know?
I feel like that's more close to being done than this would be.
Okay.
But I don't know. I don't know much about Hollywood production, especially with Marvel films, so who knows?
Yeah. Neither do I, obviously. We're just two
yeah.
dudes on the internet.
Yeah. Ty, thoughts on She-Hulk?
I think it looks pretty good. I'll
Yeah.
be excited overall to see what they accomplish. But I mean, they've done pretty decent with most of the TV shows so far on the Marvel Universe. So I'll be excited to see where this goes for sure.
What if this goes like full, like, pivots into like a ladies show, like a rom-com, you know?
I'm down
Almost
for
like a-
rom-coms.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm whatever.
I'm down. It's just Marvel rom-com. Like it feels like they've been testing out different genres.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
I would just, I was
I'd
just
be down.
testing how you guys would feel about it.
Yeah,
She's right here if you're looking for her was.
Yeah, just making sure she's not chewing on any cord. She's got something
She's
in her
got the
mouth.
bone.
Her chew bone? Her
Yep.
chicky bone?
There might be further interruptions, listeners. It's just a cute pup.
It's a tiny dog.
Tiny
Yeah, I guess
dog.
kind of to continue the conversation then, I mean, as you guys can imagine, I don't see myself watching this. But I did laugh at the trailer a little
Right.
bit. You guys heard me kind of laugh at some of the humor and things of that nature, very Marvel humor-esque.
Yeah.
But
I didn't hear that at all. He's lying, folks.
What would it take for you to be like, okay, I am gonna take a shot on this. Like, how many people would have to come up to you, and what would they have to say?
Well, it'd have to be a Florence Pugh solo show.
So I was gonna say, the joke would be it would have to involve Florence Pugh, but even I still never watched what show did she Aaron? Yeah, I still never watched that shit. So, I don't know, man. I just maybe if it was something more Doctor Strange. Multiverse of Madness esque, and there was some horror elements,
like a horror,
yeah,
for sure.
Maybe that would get me to be like, oh, okay, like maybe they're doing something new. I'll try it. You know what I mean? But that's like the only thing I can even.
No, that's fine. And I'm not criticizing it in any way. I was genuinely just curious at this.
Yeah.
Obviously,
that's probably the only thing I can think of off the top of my head. But yeah,
so
I'll sit down and watch it.
If they came out with a horror style show,
or even if they gave who's doing the new Blade? Mahershala? Is it Mahershala?
Oh, sure,
yeah. I mean, maybe if they turned that into a show,
just an X-Files spinoff.
Yeah, but it's just like, I don't know,
Monster of the Week, Blade.
I'll be so down.
Actually, I'm down. That sounds like just like Demon Slayer.
yeah, absolutely.
True. So, yeah, that's
Young Blade Chronicles.
Young Blade. But would Mahershala really want to do a TV show? I don't know. Obviously, he's done them in the past.
Yeah,
but
what
like,
he did Luke Cage, right? Is that him in Luke Cage?
No,
was him in Luke Cage? Yeah, first season.
First season, he's a villain.
Okay.
Yeah, Cottonmouth.
Then maybe he would. I take that back.
I think he's like at a different level in his acting.
I
for
agree.
Sure.
I think since Luke Cage came out, he's ascended for sure. All right. Well, the other trailer we have is the Mission Impossible. What is this now? 7, 8?
7.
Good Lord, really?
And at this point, confirmed to be an 8.
Weird that they that this franchise was supposed to be dead and like become the Jeremy Renner like thing. Like it was supposed to be handed off with Ghost Protocol and everything. And Tom Cruise has just been like, "You will pry it from my cold dead hands," and like has somehow withered the storm and resuscitated this thing.
Yeah, I feel like it's at its height.
Yeah, right.
After Fallout,
like
Fallout was good though.
Fallout and Rogue Nation revived that.
That's
show.
the thing. They're what Fast and Furious is supposed to be, in that like they're actually good.
Yeah.
And like,
I could see that crossover happening.
I wouldn't be surprised at that. Yeah, that would definitely be one that.
Are they both Paramount?
No, Fast and Furious is Universal.
Oh, okay.
But again, it would
That's
be
all they
something
got
in that
left.
level.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
yeah, for real.
That'd be fun. Yeah, I mean, this trailer didn't do that much for me. It looks like a Mission Impossible movie. You know, there's tight car chases in the streets of Europe.
Tight cars.
There's running.
There's running. Yeah,
There's running.
There's a
sprinting.
solid like 5 seconds of just Tom Cruise sprinting.
Yeah.
So
he jumps off something.
yeah, it's a giant cliff at this point.
Man,
Surprise,
No, doesn't he
surprise.
ride something off the
It's a
cliff?
he
motorcycle.
does. Yeah.
yeah.
So I guess technically that's new.
With like a
but
wingsuit attached.
What is riding a motorcycle if not running on place or running in place? Just
Sure.
on a car.
Yeah, it seems like it's got all the workings to be a Mission Impossible.
for sure.
But at this point, like I said, after
He's slowly collecting women. Have you noticed this? Like his old team is slowly dying off, and now he's getting like his own like support team of women. I think.
yeah, he's becoming like the gentleman Bond, where he's not seducing.
Or like
women.
a Charlie's Angels, like a Cruisy's
sure,
Angels.
sure.
Can we get a spin off there? Or Hunt's Harlots. Is that a thing?
I don't know. That's too much of a deep cut for me.
They still got Rebecca Ferguson going strong though.
She's got an eye patch in this one.
She did.
Did something happen in the last?
I don't know. I don't think so. But maybe this is Evil Twin. Like this would feel. What if there's an Evil Twin one that's wearing an eye patch?
Now, I feel like we could be describing a Fast and Furious movie.
Yeah, if they do a collab,
But
that's how that plays.
Wasn't there a nuke in the last one? Like I feel like
Yes.
we've reached that point here.
Yeah, there was a nuke in the last one.
It was.
Yeah, that was the whole thing. Was his
That's why it's called Fallout.
Yeah, his first wife was like working for the
Oh, she's like a scientist or
humanitarian-
something, right?
Yeah, she's like part of the humanitarian group
you're
that is
right.
like at the center of the launch or the detonation
Yeah,
place because that's
you're
where the
right.
villain
Yeah.
sent it to or whatever.
And
And then
Henry Cavill's flying a helicopter for some reason.
yeah, he's got a
Okay.
mustache
I
for some
remember.
reason.
I remember. Yeah.
He reloads his arm for some reason.
That's every time I'm trying to fight somebody, I do that all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
walking down the trail, just see someone coming
Yep.
towards you, just get ready.
They know.
Yeah, they know. They don't fuck with you then. But yeah, like I said, after Fallout and Rogue Nation, I can't think this movie's gonna be bad. I think they're gonna ride that wave.
Yeah.
Tom
I mean,
Cruise
good.
is certainly still Tom Cruise, and he's still at the height of his fame. Like
he's at his cruisiest.
Yeah, right. So between this and
age like fine wine, baby.
Oh my God.
How old is he, man?
He just turned 60.
He's invincible.
He's
What?
60?
Yeah.
He doesn't.
I was also
He
going to
doesn't
say
age.
50. He's 60.
He's a no ager
It's Scientology, bro. It works.
He's going to live to 140.
minimum.
Good.
He's like a sea turtle.
He's real life Rob Lowe in Parks of Rec, where he wants to be the oldest man alive. That is Tom Cruise in real life.
I didn't know he was that surprised. Man.
He's just on good drugs, bro.
Oh
like,
my God.
all the
Yeah.
What part of him do you think is like just all like
Just withering
android?
away.
No, just like part robot.
I don't know. Probably
Legs.
Probably
That's why
access-
he's running 24/7.
He's probably got access to a lot.
Does
of
he
Just
ever
the
run
bottom
a
half
show
of him
on?
is Darth Maul.
Yeah.
He's just got like
just all
4
robot.
pancreases or something.
I don't know.
If we have no sightings of him running with shorts on, then I'm gonna say it's robotic legs.
That's true. I haven't seen him in shorts.
He's
He
always
played
in
volleyball
pants.
in jeans, so
Who knows if he has legs?
Yeah, we
We
really
don't know.
don't. We
Or
can't
like-
if
confirm.
there is an actor that can find the actual fountain of youth, it's him.
If they're not robot
No.
legs, they're like Matrix style plugs where like the IVs just get like socketed into him and just like get pumped full of whatever it
It's
is.
like Bane.
Stem cells and shit. Yeah.
Stem cells and
Yeah.
He
shit.
definitely has stem cells.
That's
He's
crazy.
got hella
If
access to
he's
stem
he's
cells.
60 and moving like that is honestly
Oh
impressive.
my, no, 100%. That
And
is
beast.
that
And
is
scary.
wild to me. 60 years old. Yeah, I think coming off of Top Gun Maverick, which is shaping up to be a big success.
Every dad is going to see that movie.
Yes, 100%.
Fuck yeah.
Even my mom today at dinner was like, "That new Top Gun movie looks good." I'm like, "I've never heard you reference a movie ever," and even she wants to go see it. So yeah, and also I'm very excited for Top Gun next week.
I mean, do you feel the need?
The need for flying? What? The need,
The
for,
need
speed?
for speed, bro.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, I'm very, very excited for that. But this should be good. When is that debut? I
think
I
Friday.
it said,
Sorry, I
I
meant
thought it
Mission
said
Impossible.
next year. I could be tripping though. I could have sworn it said 2023.
Oh, I thought we were talking about
Top Gun?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah.
God.
But they filmed it back to back.
July 14th, 2023.
2023, you said?
That's not the
Yeah, I
the
knew.
Over a
chorus.
year
I-
from
I
now.
was just riffing there,
That is
folks.
so early to release a trailer.
I'm sure it's just to coincide with the biggest Tom Cruise movie.
Definitely. Yes, definitely.
That's the next one
a
on the slate.
year. Okay.
It'll go so fast. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, like every time he
Unfortunately.
puts out a new movie, they're like, "Oh, we gotta get a trailer to get her quick.
Yeah.
We gotta let people know that there isn't enough Tom Cruise in the world. There is gonna be another one next
What
year."
if it was The Mummy 2?
I would have loved if it was a 30-second teaser of just him running. It's just him running in a straight
Just-
line for 30 seconds.
Or like just
It's a
start
ton-
out close in on his face, just him running,
Or-
and
or
then it just backs
It's
out
a shot
slowly.
of a tunnel, and it's like him at the end of the tunnel. It's just him running straight at the
Yes,
camera for
yes.
30 seconds.
You know the IMAX intro where it's like
Yeah, yeah.
it's just Tom Cruise running through like different gates.
But then it
but it's in
pulls
Dolby
out.
Atmos.
But it pulls out again, and he's on a plane.
Yeah.
He's just been running on the back of the plane.
He's on a treadmill, he's training.
He sits down in the cockpit, and next thing you know, he's in space.
Oh my God. So we'll have to wait a while for that one. But yeah, you're right. They did film back to back. So part 2 is set tentatively for June 28th.
Well,
2024.
we'll be getting out of our 40-second showing of Avatar 2 just in time for Mission Impossible 7 to come out. So
Yeah, we can do a double screening.
Yeah.
Yeah, or we can just sneak into one theater into the next.
we are so tangential. We're
I hope you know we've been recording like the actual podcast for 42 minutes, and we aren't even at the new to streaming list. Told you, 3.5 hours. 3.5 hours. Let's get into that new to streaming list. Let's get this show on the road a little bit faster. Adam Schwartz's complete subjective news stream list for the week of May 22nd through the 28th. Netflix is getting Ricky Gervais, Supernature, his second stand-up special.
already getting flamed on Twitter.
I already saw that. Yeah, already getting some blowback for some of the jokes in there. I think it was some transgender jokes, I believe, is what I saw.
Shocking.
Yeah. So he's
that'll
next to
do
get
it.
tackled on stage, I guess. Stranger Things Season 4, Volume 1.
Wow, that actually comes
It's
out.
coming out this week. And then
No
Volume
way.
2 is in like a month.
Holy crap.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's already here.
Do y'all plan on watching that?
Maybe.
I don't think I'm gonna watch it.
I don't know. I also saw apparently the whole Season 4 was spoiled by the release of the Monopoly.
What?
Yeah, Monopoly Stranger Things spoiled the ending to season 4, and the creators are pissed.
That's fucking hilarious.
That's the most 2022 statement I've heard in a while.
Yeah, I saw that scrolling through the headlines for the news this week.
That's incredible.
Right? Yeah. So, don't go buy that Monopoly if you don't want anything spoiled for you. Like anyone's buying Monopoly nowadays, but...
Particularly Stranger Things Monopoly.
Yeah. Man, you've been sent... or go straight to the upside down. It's not jail. Ty, you.
Oh yeah, it's got to be right. Like yeah. You would think.
Yeah. Ty, you seem to be the most excited for
Russia.
They couldn't do that with the things going on nowadays.
That's the spoiler.
That's the spoiler. Yeah, also an interesting time to have a show featuring Russians.
Yeah, that probably didn't work out for them, did they?
Bad timing, but who could have predicted this? It's only been boiling over for 20 years.
Next week's the Netflix is the single biggest funder of the Ukrainian resistance because they wanted it.
Yeah. Oh my God.
They did pull
Vladimir
from Russian
stuff.
Yeah.
Zelensky gets his own Netflix show.
Oh, bro, within seconds here.
Well, he was an actor.
Anime.
He was an actor before.
Comedian.
Comedian actor, who played a Ukrainian prime minister, didn't he?
I don't know.
Or it was. I think it was like a Ukrainian politician. He played that, and then went on to be elected the Ukrainian president.
Man. 6 months.
So he doesn't think any of this is a joke.
I give it 6 months.
Stranger Things. Ty, are you excited? You seem the most excited when we talk about
I think this will still be pretty good. So I'm still excited for this. I haven't had anything spoiled for me. I don't plan on.
You didn't pre-order the Monopoly?
I did not play Monopoly.
Oh, okay.
I haven't played Monopoly in forever. Fuck that game.
It's fun. I still play it at the occasional family outing. It gets rather competitive.
Too many people cheat. Whoever the banker is, you're a fucking cheater.
Just like in real life.
Exactly. All bankers are corrupt. It's just a fucking fact. And
Allegedly.
so are you. As soon as you play Monopoly, if you're the banker, you're corrupt.
Y'all think Monopoly's worse than Uno? Like Uno
This
is
is such a tangent.
Yeah,
I know. But
I think it is because Uno's winnable.
Mm.
You can get to the end of an Uno game.
You can get to the end of a Monopoly game. You just gotta block out 6 hours every day.
I'm out.
And then, 2 people go at it for another 2 hours because that's always what it comes down to.
Monopoly's more revealing of the two.
Monopoly's like golf for me. I want to be the first one out. I want the lowest amount. I was just like, oh, yeah, I'll buy that. Yeah, I'll buy that too. Yeah, I'll buy that. Oh, I'm out of money. Oh, sorry, guys. I got to go.
Slumlord Tyler.
Get me out as fast as possible.
Stranger Things coming later this week. That's it for Netflix. Amazon is getting Bombshell and Dread.
Great movie.
Bombshell or Dread?
We were just talking about Dread.
Yeah.
Dread.
It was basically directed by Alex Garland.
Ah. Oh, yeah, that's the one you were talking. Yeah, who he ghost directed it. Never got credit, whatever. Timely. Anyway.
Yes, indeed.
Hulu's getting Look at Me, XXX Tentacion. This is an exclusive Hulu documentary. I'm assuming documentary. They're documenting the life of XXX Tentacion before his passing. What was that, 2018?
Rest in peace. 2018?
Yeah. HBO is getting That Damn Michael Shea, season 2. So I think that's his show coming to HBO Max. And then Disney Plus. This is where the ringers are here, folks. You're getting Marvel Studios Assembled, The Making of Moon Knight. That's another behind-the-scenes show for their their Marvel shows, but I think they also do it for the Star Wars stuff. I think it's just called something different. And then, of course, Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi Episode 1 and 2. Speaking of shows coming to Disney Plus, this is definitely one I'm most excited for. Out of all of them, both Star Wars and Marvel, this is probably the Disney Plus exclusive that I have been waiting for since it was announced that I'm most excited for. Had a dream about it last night. True story. Don't really remember what happened. It didn't get spoiled for me, so that's good.
Was there Monopoly in the dream?
No, there was not.
Space Monopoly? Spinopoly?
Spinopoly. Go straight to the Starlight. So the episode 1 and 2 are coming out, I believe, this Friday.
Now I've heard mutterings that
some rumblings.
That if your knowledge or your enjoyment of the series will be greatly enhanced if you have watched the Clone Wars or some of the animated series.
I've not, but Tyler, of course, has.
Yes, so that'll be an interesting talking point post next week. Yes. So what are you gonna watch first, Obi-Wan Kenobi or Stranger Things, Tyler?
Is that even a question?
Yeah, it kind of is because
Really?
Yeah, well, just because I'm way more infinitely excited for Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
It's just a fact. I grew up with Star Wars. It's something that will always be near and dear. It's more or less I want to be able to work up to that and save the best for last.
Okay.
So if I'm going to do both of them simultaneously, I may as well do Stranger Things first because I know I'm going to enjoy Obi-Wan at the back end.
Well, Stranger Things is releasing all their episodes at once, where this is weekly.
Which is nice, too, because I might just binge the shit out of Stranger Things because it's not something that Lee is particularly caring for anyways. So
you can avoid Obi-Wan spoilers that
right.
way.
Yeah, I could just, I can shit on that thing one whole day and just, call it a day if I really need to.
Another quick thing about Stranger Things, I've also seen it on Twitter and in news articles, where they have 2 or 3 episodes that are longer than movies.
Oh.
Like there are 2 hours plus episodes.
Which I mean, we've seen 2 hours is a lot, but we have seen obviously longer episodes for TV shows. Seeing as like the average, time for a TV show now is like an hour.
Yeah,
Sure.
That's fair, but that's just really surprising for me since this isn't even the last season. Like they have a volume 5 coming out
right
eventually. So to do that in the 4th season is interesting.
Hopefully they cover some ground.
Well,
I think they have to.
Yeah, they got 4 hours and 2 episodes to do. I don't even know how long the season's going to be long.
I would not be surprised if we get a major time jump in there and like more time reestablishing the characters as young adults at this point.
Yeah. So then we also have coming to Disney Plus, Bad Boys, which is a the documentary about not those Bad Boys.
I was like, wow, they're putting that on Disney.
I should have been quicker. I should have been quicker to finish.
They put
that.
the Netflix Marvel stuff on there, and they're like, "Fuck it, Bad Boys,
Bad Boy for life."
It's a documentary about the late '80s and early '90s,
Pistons?
the Pistons, exactly. So they're kind of talked about in The Last Dance.
All right, yeah,
How they were their big rival.
for sure. These are just 30 for 30s at this point.
Yes,
They're
yes,
just
they are.
migrating over.
Yes. But I might check this out. I might do like a double feature where I rewatch Last Dance for like the 5th time, and then and then go watch this.
Yeah, I mean, jokes aside, right? I obviously thought it was the movie, but yeah, with it being on the Pistons, I mean, yeah, that's going to be very interesting. I mean, any sports fan is kind of, specifically basketball fan, is knowledgeable of kind of that rivalry and things of that nature. So yeah, I mean, they were a damn good team, man.
They were brutal.
Ran into Michael Jordan,
Beating up people.
Yeah,
getting away with it.
I'm sure that'll be sure it'll be cool to watch.
And then another basketball documentary, D. Wade, Life Unexpected. Apparently, he's been documenting his life for like 10 years or something like that, or like it was something like 10 years or 2 decades, something like that. And so it's like this whole span of his career, kind of recapped apparently. So a lot of basketball there. Hubble's Cosmic Journey. This is about the Hubble telescope, kind of recapping everything it's seen and that kind of thing. And
I might watch
Nat
that.
Geo thing. Yeah, maybe it's one of those ones that'll look good on a OLED, that kind of thing. And then Mission Pluto, another space doc, basically about. I think it's something Horizon. Maybe it's just the Horizon.
Event Horizon.
Event Horizon. Thank you.
No, I hope not. That's a horror movie.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Great movie, though.
No, there's some telescope Horizon something, I think,
yeah.
or it might just be the Horizon telescope, but it's like been documenting Pluto, that kind of thing. So that's what that's about. 2 telescope docs in 1 week. Who would have thought?
Wild.
Yeah.
I thought good.
We're at 51, it's going to be 52 minutes in the episode, and we are just getting to what we're watching. So I guess we should also, I mean, maybe it's deceiving because we did have that, 5 to 8 minute break where we met Electra, but
Talked with a dog.
let's speed through these if we can, but I'm going to get it over to Nathaniel.
Oh boy, I didn't really watch a ton this week besides like Nick Merckx on Twitch and The Staircase. Watched a lot of The Staircase, both the new series and the documentary. So I rewatched the original documentary, which is on Netflix, and I do encourage people to watch, especially if you've ever been curious about like the American justice system or what lawyers do and kind of how they build cases and stuff like that.
Oh, I was planning on watching She-Hulk for that.
That would work as well.
Okay.
I think, yeah. But if you wanted something a little bit more grounded, definitely an interesting look at that, especially when you consider that it's, again, French filmmakers, so they don't have this kind of inherent bias in some ways, I think.
Yeah.
Really interesting. Enjoying the series on HBO as well, too. That was really cool. I think new episodes are coming out on Friday, so keeping up with that. Really trying to think if I got to anything else besides those two things. Watched the UFC this weekend. Watched a lot of baseball, actually.
Yeah?
We've been taking Ellie out for walks, and her half brother Leo is owned by our friend Brett and Annie, and Brett's a big baseball guy.
Nice.
And so we've been hanging out
Huge.
there after and watching a lot of baseball.
Cool.
So yeah, it's been fun.
Another rough season for the D-backs.
You know what? They're above 500, and they're in
Really?
like third place right now. So
Okay.
the NL West is really super competitive at the moment, and they're above 500. So whatever, keep plugging along.
Did they
D-backs.
take that second series against the Cubs?
Yeah, they did. They went like 3-1, I think.
Damn.
Yeah. Cubs is a team that I just don't even know anyone on that team anymore.
They're unrecognizable at this point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I genuinely, besides Wilson
No,
Contreras.
they're a new team, man.
Yeah.
And he might be gone soon too. They won't extend him, and there's trade talks. It's scaring me. Where are you gonna find a better catcher? Where? Tell me.
No, probably not.
You're not. That's the answer. So extend his ass, please.
But anyways,
Yeah.
yeah. Besides that, that's really kind of been it. I've been, obviously keeping up on YouTube, turning the tables, Mr. Sunday movies, all of that kind of stuff. There was UFC this weekend. I watched that a little bit as well too. That's kind of been it. Tyler, what have you been watching?
I can run through this pretty quick. We did have the Spanish Grand Prix, which I know.
Yes.
Oh, I did watch that as well
Bah.
too.
I watched that last night at the rerun.
Very, very good. Another 1-2 for the Red Bull boys.
Perez
which
is a
is,
little heated though.
As
To
he
an
should
extent,
be.
yeah. I mean, that's always fair, but given the circumstances, Max was going to be significantly faster anyways, so
Yeah.
he would have passed him. Granted, the next person behind him was another 10 seconds, so I mean that's a really big gap in F1, and so they could have let him battle it out, but at the end of the day, Max had newer tires and he just had a better pace throughout the whole weekend. So
that's
he would have
fair.
passed him anyways. So with
It's
the
just,
reliability
I
issues
feel
that they've
for
been
Checo,
having,
man.
it's just not. There's no point.
No,
So,
that's fair, but it's just like, man.
yeah, it sucks.
He's always, that's kind of the position that you get at Red Bull at this point.
Well,
That's-
yeah, I
that's
mean,
where Daniel Ricciardo had his issues.
Yeah, Red Bull they always have been kind of a one driver team, and
Yeah.
that's always very well established. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's not a bad thing to establish. It kind of sucks for
No.
whoever the secondary driver is, but I mean, like, look how many championships fucking Hamilton has, and that's
Yeah.
because Mercedes has always been a one horse
Yeah.
show.
That's fair.
And you run support, and the Minister of Defense is still Checo's nickname, and he does a good job, and he knows that he has his place. And
he knows he's got his place, but
At
it's
the
also
end
got to
of-
be so frustrating.
yeah,
At the end of the day, I guess like he's the veteran too.
100%.
There's always the chance that something happens, God forbid, or Max hits a string of bad luck, and if he's in second place, it can very easily become the Checo show.
Facts.
Like
100%.
just
By the
can.
time we're down to the 20-second race, if Max's car has just gone to shit, you still have somebody that's very high up in the points and very well experienced and is very capable of winning a world
He's
championship.
racing so well.
He's an
He's
animal.
killing
dude.
it, man.
Checo
I love
is
him.
right on top of it. Speaking of racing so well, Bottas
Yeah,
in the
Bottas.
Alfa Romeo, still killing it.
Yep.
Still getting. He's been top 5 twice.
Feeling for
Three
Leclerc.
times.
Feeling for Leclerc after
Yeah,
this
that
weekend.
is tough. That is tough. His leads just completely disappeared.
liability.
Yeah, I mean,
The
it's
name
not
of the
like
game with new
Verstappen
cars.
hasn't had those issues
Yeah,
too.
right, exactly.
Right. Yeah,
so,
no, it's kind of fair at this point.
So, and then Carlos, there wasn't anything wrong with his car, just caught a bad tailwind coming off
Yeah.
the turn 4, I think that is, and just ended up spinning out.
I think
which
Ru-
also happened to Max.
I think Russell can creep up on both of them.
Yeah, I
He's
just
finished top 5 in every race. Right?
Yeah, I don't. He's obviously done a really good job at getting what he can out of the car.
Yeah.
And he's done it in a really quick way, and that's also because he drove a dog shit Williams
That's what I was
for
about to say.
a
is I
couple
think
years.
His time at Williams has
So-
learned how to use a underperforming car
Yep.
well.
And I definitely won't take him out of the game, but when it comes down to the end of it, he just doesn't have the experience to
Not yet, but
be up there.
give him some
But
time.
yeah,
I think
he could be
the next
contending
top
for
dog.
sure, for sure.
I mean, he's Lewis in the same car they've been fixing the same issues, and he's still outpacing
Yeah.
Lewis.
Just wait till
consistently.
Fernando gets more comfortable in that pink Red Bull, baby.
Man.
Too fucking funny.
That's hilarious.
So yeah, I obviously got around to that. Leah and I watched a documentary. It's about just wild babies, like animals. So we've been watching that.
Okay.
Babies released into the wild.
Yeah.
So
There's
there's been a seal so far, and baby lions, and what's the other one? Shit, I don't remember. But either way, cute little baby animal documentary. So whatever.
Oh, I've been reading. Sorry to interrupt there for a second.
About babies?
No, but it reminded me. I've been reading Desperation by Stephen King, which is a little bit of a thicker book, but it's been interesting
All of
so
his
far.
books are thicker books.
Yeah, but it starts off like with a policeman pulling someone over and just like kidnapping them, basically, and it's been kind of an interesting.
He doesn't shoot the person?
No.
Oh,
He's
it's very unrealistic.
I mean, he's shot one person so far, so it is realistic in that way. But there was a baby doll, which was what that made me remind me of. That. But yeah, always good to get some Stephen King in you.
Nice. I've still been watching Kitchen Nightmares because it's just I don't know why. I just I really like Gordon Ramsay right now. So Forged in Fire as well for more trash TV. Not that that's trash, but that's just in the category of trash TV.
Have you gotten to the new host?
No.
Okay.
But I saw him on a clip of something, and I'm
weird.
like, this guy sucks.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah, fuck him.
Where are you, Will Willis?
Leah and I watched a movie called Senior Year. It's I can't remember the actress's name, but it's Fat Amy.
Rebel Wilson.
Yes, who has gotten ridiculously in shape lately.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So she plays a cheerleader who basically goes into a coma for like literally 20 years and then wakes up 20 years later and she still thinks she's 17, but like her and all her friends are like 30.
She blipped.
Yeah. So a big blip too.
Yeah.
She literally went from 17 to like 37.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah. So not terrible. It's got some pretty good comedy in it. Rebel Wilson's obviously a very funny lady. Yeah. So it's a little raunchier than I was expecting, but
her
still
stuff's
funny.
Pretty raunchy though.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of her comedy.
So and then last but not least for me, I have been trying my best to catch up on Attack on Titan.
Yeah.
So you start from the beginning, or you just season 4?
No, I actually backtracked a couple episodes into season 3 just to kind of regain my ground that I have lost. And
so have you started season 4 at all yet?
I think the last episode I watched today was the first episode of season 4.
Thoughts?
I think it's pretty great so far. You can obviously see an animation change.
Yes, 100%.
Which I'm okay with for the most part. Some of it
but season by season, it's changed.
Yeah, it's just
slightly.
like for whatever reason when I look at Aaron right now, he looks like a skeleton from the side.
Yeah,
I'm like he literally looks ill. He looks like he's dying.
Well, give it time. Give it time.
So yeah, but other than that, I've been loving it and just catching back up on that, and I thoroughly enjoy the dubs in that. For whatever reason, I just could never get into subs with that either.
That's fair. The dubs are pretty good in that.
But
I watched both.
Super fucking easy to consume. They're 25 minutes at best, so you're just slamming through them, and then 5 minutes of intro and outro. Yeah. But yeah, I'm very excited to see where that goes into season 4. So other than that, that's been it for me.
Yeah, I'm excited. You got to keep me updated because it turns into a completely different show in that season.
You could tell.
Yes,
you could tell that it's not like a different vibe they're going for, but you can tell like the story is evolving.
And they announced the day they debuted the season 4 finale in quotes. They announced there's going to be a part 3 of season 4 because they had part 1 and then they had about a 9-month break and then they did part 2. And they were telling everyone that's the end. And then the day they released the finale of the part 2, they're like, oh, there's actually a part 3.
Surprise. Yeah.
Surprise.
I wish they would have just done a movie. That would have been cool.
Sure.
Maybe they still will. Who knows? But yeah, that season 4. I haven't actually finished it. I've got like 4 episodes left. And I now that I'm home and I've got some more time, I'm going to go back and finish that before I head out for DC.
Yeah, I've been slamming that. So that's been a lot of fun.
You got to keep me updated on that. That 4th season gets really good.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm hyped.
Give it like 3 episodes and you're going to be,
good. Well, what have you been watching?
Not much. Obviously, I watched Spa and then watched episodes 8 and 9 of the Halo show. And you know what? Episode 8, pretty dog shit. And then episode 9, I've got to give credit where credit's due, and I'll put this as lightly as I can. They somehow landed a heaping meteor of garbage that was on fire, and the finale was actually pretty good. I don't know how they did it. I had my theory is that we talked about we did a news story a while ago about it where they switched showrunners like almost midway through the season.
Okay.
In fact, towards the end of production.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, they switched showrunners while they were filming it.
Okay.
And it was like one person who was attached as like producer. He was like attached to the project, and then the main showrunner left, and then he just picked that up and finished it. And I think these last 2 episodes were more his doing, because they change pacing. They don't retcon anything in the story, obviously, because it was too late to do that.
Sure.
But they make better use of what they had, the story they had going. And so the finale was actually pretty good. Does
it feel like they went like, we have to go here, and so that now we can get the rest of the show on its track, and they kind of worked backwards from that in some way?
Kinda, a little bit, yeah. They started to kind of piece things together a little bit. Like, it really is just episodes 8 and 9 that they did that with.
Sure.
And in fact, is episode 8 the episode that weird thing happens, Ty? There's that episode 7. I think it's episode 8, actually.
Maybe it is 8.
I'm pretty sure it's 8. So even then, I can't see too much because like a really weird thing happens in that. Okay, I don't want to. Is it really spoilers? Is it that much?
I mean, I don't know how many people are watching.
Yeah, Master Chief, a character who in the games we've never seen his face, and they revealed his face in the first episode because it's Pablo Schreiber. So that's fine. I've gotten over that fact. He has sex for the first time, of course. And Cortana, the AI implanted in his brain, watches. So that was episode 8.
Whatever.
You can't see this, folks, but I'm bouncing my eyebrows.
It's not as bad as everyone made it sound like it was terrible online, and I watched it and I was like, okay, I understand why this is kind of weird, but also it's like it doesn't last for that long. It's very short, and like it's not like she's just like staring in awe at whatever, I don't know. It was not as bad as everyone made it out to be, but it's kind of weird. So that was episode 8, and then going into episode 9, I'm like, okay, I really could not care less. But then like they do good tension. Like there's a good tense moment between the characters. They have a good kind of like team moment between Silver Team and then the Ty. Have you seen the finale?
I have not.
Okay, I won't say too much then. But a good action sequence at the end. CGI is really rough.
Yeah, I've heard
really, really rough in that episode particularly. But that, again, I've accepted that. That's fine. And the ending has left me cautiously, barely optimistic about where they could take it because I feel like the showrunner, I never looked up if they are keeping him, but I think it's going to be the same showrunner for season 2 that picked up at the end of season 1. Where they've kind of left some things where I'm like, they could take this in a direction where I am okay with. And I think aesthetically they need to change a lot of stuff because visually the show doesn't really look like Halo. And I think a lot of people would be okay if they just not really even retconned it, didn't say anything, and just changed the aesthetic, set pieces and like, the aesthetic of the military and that kind of thing. If they just changed it and didn't say anything, I think a lot of people would just be fine with that. And so I hope they do that and they kind of change some things up like that. But this show into season 2 could be good. They set it up in a way where I'm okay with where it's going. But they have a lot to change if they want to keep my attention for much longer than a season 2. I say that knowing very well I'll watch whatever they put out. So, I was pleasantly surprised by the finale of that show. Considering torturing myself because I'm a masochist and rewatching the whole thing to see how I feel about it, but I don't really know if I could go through that again.
Yeah, you're getting so many other things to watch.
Exactly. It's like, why waste my time with that when I got a lot of things to catch up on? I haven't even seen Moon Knight. I've got to finish Attack on Titan. So, maybe not. But, yeah. That was pretty much it. Played a lot of Halo. That was about the other things. What's new? Blake?
Yeah, I'll wrap it up. So, for starters, I finished season 3 of Atlanta.
Oh, it's done.
So season 3 ended. It was 10 episodes, 10 weeks. And as I've said before, I mean, that show's awesome. Season 3 was a little different. I'd say more than a little different, but totally different than kind of the first 2 seasons. They do a lot of these one-off anthology quote unquote episode. So I think there's like 4 of those of the 10 episodes are like that. So you're not with any of the main cast. You get a few celebrity cameos in season 3. Liam Neeson is in one of the episodes. So yeah, they're
awesome.
They're in Europe, right? So they're on tour in Europe, for just to kind of put in context for you guys. So he appears in one of the episodes. Season 10, or excuse me, not season 10. Episode 10 actually just had Alexander Skarsgård in it.
Okay.
So yeah, that show's awesome, man. They just got so many things going on, and you don't really know what like realm or what world this show kind of takes place in. There's so many things that can happen. It's like, well, that can't happen in the real world.
Sure.
But yeah, awesome show, man. That thing's got a lot of things going for it, and hopefully season 4 doesn't make us wait another 4 years to release. Outside of that, I watched the original Star Wars. I was telling you guys for the first time.
Yeah, man, that's dope.
Yeah, and
What'd you think?
It was good. As I was watching it, I was like, I think I've seen some of the stuff before, just like from pop culture and stuff. It's hard to escape that stuff on movies that's 30 plus years old.
Facts.
And as well as just kind of being aware of the movies. I mean, it's not like I'm watching the first movie with no knowledge of Star Wars. Right. So like I'm watching things like, okay, well, like I already know who like this person is.
I feel like you would have 75% of the movie through just like synthesis of like just it having played so many times at work.
Yeah, right. So I'm like watching. I was like, okay, I know who this is. I kind of know what's going on. So it was cool, but I mean, it was really cool to kind of see them go down that, and you see Darth Vader has the Force, right? And then you realize the other gentleman, I already forgot his name. It's going off the top of my head.
Obi-Wan.
Yes. And then you're okay, like they're gonna end up battling each other, right? So I mean, there's kind of those things. So like I know that stuff was going. I believe that's who it was.
Darth Vader is the villain.
Yeah. He's talking about when he's fighting Obi-Wan.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant Luke was fighting Obi-Wan. I was like, that doesn't happen.
No.
That's my mistake.
Yeah, no worries. Maybe I didn't articulate it right. But yeah, so I mean, kind of seeing some of that stuff is like, that's gonna happen. But yeah, it was cool. I can imagine seeing that in the 70s is fucking awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's like a lot of good scenes too, like the trash compactor scene, or like like I love the bit when he's like, we're all good here now, thanks. How are you?
So
shoots it.
Yeah. So some of the line readings are definitely 70s-esque.
Yeah,
right? You know what I mean? So it was kind of cool to see some of that stuff.
Now, I'm assuming you watched it on Disney Plus.
I did. Yeah.
Didn't it look incredible?
It did. So some of that stuff has to be redone.
Yeah,
it's 4K. It's 4K upres.
Okay, even
oh,
like,
you mean the yes,
like the CGI? There's no way. I'm watching.
It is. They went back. They went back in
90s.
90s, was it 90s?
Yeah,
okay.
late 90s.
Yeah, they went back late 90s when more CGI was available, and they basically redid a lot of the CGI.
Okay, yeah,
not all of it, but some of it. Like Jabba the Hutt. I don't know if you noticed when Han Solo's talking to Jabba in the hangar.
Right next to him.
He's standing next to him, but then like he walks behind Jabba and he like it phases over Jabba and walks to the right of him. It's because in the original one, Jabba was just a human.
And he walked in front of him.
He walks like in front of him. And so when they redid it and they made Jabba this giant slug, they had to superimpose him walking over his tail, essentially.
Right.
So if you rewatch it, you might not have noticed it.
It looks really goofy. When I watched it.
He walks behind him and like phases, basically skips over Jabba because they just superimposed him walking over his tail.
It was the weird head bob.
Yeah.
So yeah, there were some things like that I saw. But yeah, overall, I was like, wow, this CGI looks like really good. But then I was like, there's no way this is from 77, right? So I mean, I kind of
a lot of that stuff is still practical.
Okay. Yeah.
The majority of it
Lucas was like kind of cutting edge of using practical effects and mixing it with like computer technologies. Miniatures, exactly. Like the cockpit stuff.
I figured that stuff was.
Yeah, all of that. A lot of that stuff is practical, which aged like fine wine.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it still looks good. And and then the streaming quality of those Star Wars movies is incredible on Disney Plus.
Yeah, that was the first time I opened Disney Plus in
60
months.
years.
Yeah, it's been some time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was cool.
Are you gonna keep going? Are you invested enough?
I mean, I don't know. That's a big commitment, man. It's like fucking 10 movies. You know what I mean? So like,
yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure one
at least
day
get through the first 3.
The original 3.
Yeah, at least get through those. And I think
should.
maybe by the end you'd be like, all right, maybe I'm down for another one, or maybe you give it some time. And you go, okay, I'll get into the prequels and yeah, that original trilogy is all three of them are really really
What
good.
a hunk of junk.
Because Empire Strikes Back is regarded by many people as like the best one, which is the second one.
Is
of
that
those
the
three.
second one? Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see. But yeah, it was cool, man. And yeah, I can't complain for a movie that's 30 years old and having some of the things spoiled.
Shit, almost 50,
cool.
well, 45, almost 50 years old.
Yeah.
Now.
But
It's
I
kinda
can
wild.
see the premise of it. I see why people love it. I can see why it was held highly when you first view it. I mean, the whole kind of mysterious factor of Darth Vader and like you don't know what this person looks like and things of that nature, right? So obviously all that's been ruined to me now. So like,
it's hard
that's
to
not the mystique
hard to
anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But it still looks it was a good movie.
Well, also consider this. This was something interesting I learned, and I talked about on pod when I did my film history class. But like, Star Wars was revolutionary in the fact that like, we're really used to having all these movies that take place in completely different universes or completely different settings and everything like that. But that was the first time that really been done where you were completely transformed into like a different story that takes place in a quote, galaxy far, far away.
Right.
And like, imagine going to a theater and never seeing a movie that like doesn't, take place with
On
like
Earth.
on Earth, like
Yeah.
in a real setting kind of thing.
Yeah.
That was the first time ever. So, viewing it like that is like kind of going back and watching it in that perspective is really cool.
Yeah. So yeah, it's it was good as expected, I would say. Not my favorite movie by any means, but yeah, it was certainly awesome to see. So we'll see if I get through the rest. And but I feel like I got some of the things spoiled from me just from pop culture.
Yeah, that's inevitable.
That's life. I think that's all I got to. I rewatched Annihilation. I wanted to watch Ex Machina.
So good. I think Waz said he has that on Vudu.
Yeah, he did. I just ended up going to my own Vudu and watching Annihilation. But yeah, so that's kind of the next thing. Annihilation's another Alex Garland movie. For those who don't know,
We saw a different Alex Garland movie this week, didn't we?
We did.
It's called Men. We've been singing that all week at work. Every time I think of that movie title, that's just what comes to mind. But anyway, we watched Men, and that is the main review of the episode this week. Nathaniel, the listener here is new, and maybe they just forgotten. Can you give them a rundown of how a review segment works?
What up, folks, and welcome to the main review segment here on Back Row Banter. This is how it works. It is split into two different sections. There's the non-spoiler section, and then there's the spoiler section. It's pretty self-explanatory. In the non-spoiler section, we'll go over its IMDb summary page, all that good stuff, and we'll talk about who's in it. We'll go around the squadron and give our first ideas and kind of reactions to the movie. We'll all decide whether we recommend the film. Has to be a yes or no answer on that one. There is no nuance on the internet. And then it'll be spoilers. We'll mark the spoilers in the show notes for you, so don't have to worry about that if you don't want anything spoiled. I'll also play the spoiler noise. We'll go over any big spoilers or any big plot points we couldn't go over in the non-spoiler segment. And then even if you didn't want it spoiled for you, do come back and listen towards the end of the podcast where we rank it up on our Entropy list, which is our big list of everything we've watched on the podcast. Ranked. That being said, Adam, tell me about Men.
I would love to. This is a new movie, of course. Rated R, as it should be, with a runtime of 1 hour and 40 minutes and IMDb rating of 6.4 out of 10. Directed by, as we said, Alex Garland. I think he wrote it as well, but I can't find that here yet. Let me try to find where. Yeah, written by Alex Garland as well. Starring Jessie Buckley, who I feel like I kind of recognized her, but I don't. Are you more familiar with her, Nathaniel?
No, but I know she was recently nominated for an Oscar.
For what?
I believe The Lost Daughter, maybe?
That sounds right. Yeah, I remember that coming up. But she was really good in this. We'll of course probably talk about that later. She was in Chernobyl. Oh, okay. Maybe that's kind of where I recognize her from.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at her IMDb, she's been in quite a few things. A lot of like short series, it looks like, on TV. Chernobyl, The Woman in White, and Fargo. She was in one season of Fargo as well. So she was the lead. Rory Kinnear, who is in the Mission Impossible movie, James Bond movies.
Yes, yeah, he is.
Yeah, and he's also been in other stuff, of course. Papa Asaidu.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, but he plays James. Gail Rankin. Let's see. What are the other? This is an order of appearance, so it's kind of hard.
There are not too many characters in this, too, either.
There's not, but there.
Spoiler alert.
Oh, it's a
very small cast.
It is okay. Oh, I thought there was gonna be more names, but that's it. That's really it. Okay. I guess I didn't really fully comprehend the fact that that one guy is, I guess, playing multiple people.
Yes, Roy Kinnear plays very many people.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense now because I kind of saw that, but I didn't know that's okay. Anyway.
Well, we'll have something to talk about
Yeah,
for sure.
will. Yeah. So that's pretty much the cast there. The IMDb summary reads as follows. A young woman goes on a solo vacation to the English countryside following the death of her ex-husband. Okay. That's like the first, 2 minutes of the movie?
Yes.
Let's allegedly sum up the rest of it. It's that's like the gist of it. She's trying to get away on a little, solo retreat, some me time, if you will. So where else to go but the country? She rents out a 500-year-old home. I'm assuming it's an Airbnb, probably, or maybe a Visco.
That's what it kind of seemed like, didn't it?
Yeah. But an older home, very remote place, and as she stays, more weirder and weirder men. She encounters more and more strange men that she has strange interactions with them. I don't really want to say too much more. You can kind of get the gist of what happens there and potentially the themes underlying that summary of a woman on her own having interactions with men. You can kind of read into what that is about as far as the themes go.
It lifts up a mirror to society, man.
Oh yeah, it's very introspective. That joke you said that Letterboxd posted or something like that, where it was directors.
Oh yeah.
What was it again?
Directors who made movies that prove they're one of the good ones.
Yeah, and it was a picture of what this and Last Night in Soho.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was kind of funny. But anyway, let's get into the non-spoiler thoughts here, guys. What are we thinking here? It was to give context, we planned on seeing it with the whole squadron together. Tyler had other obligations; he was not able to make it, unfortunately. So
this is true.
It was the three of us: me, Blake, and Nathaniel, and Waz, of course,
and the Waz.
I can vouch.
Yes, he was there. He filled Tyler's spot, even though we had an empty seat for Tyler. But anyway, we came out of the theater. We were all kind of like, "Huh." Not what I expected. And, of course, we'll kind of talk about that in spoilers. But I'm curious to see what you guys think. And now that we've had some time, let it sit a little bit.
Yeah.
Go ahead, man. You got it.
No, I think it kind of was what I was expecting in a lot of ways.
Okay.
In some ways, kind of having experience with Alex Garland, especially post Annihilation.
See, I haven't seen Annihilation. So
yeah. Okay.
My expectations weren't where your guys' were.
Yeah, I thought I felt a general sense of what the fuckism coming,
Sure.
which is I would say is a non-spoilery way of kind of like preparing the viewer for that. There's a healthy dose of what the fuckism in this one.
A healthy dose.
But overall, I would say I enjoyed this. I don't know what my expectation levels were going into it. Film Twitter does not like this movie, which is very interesting, I think.
I agree. I don't dislike this movie. I don't know why it's getting a lot of hate.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it feels a little bit pretentious maybe to some people on some level. I can understand that in some ways too. It doesn't it exists in that that realm of quote unquote elevated horror, if you want to call it that. I don't necessarily we can have big conversations about if that's a real thing or not, but it definitely seems to be striving for that kind of level. But yeah, I think it's an interesting overall effort. It was definitely, I feel like, worth my time, even for just like sitting down and being like, holy crap, just watching Roy Kinnear act for 2 hours, and Jesse Buckley as well too. But overall, I would give it a recommend, I would say, still, but it is definitely going to be one of those not for everyone's that we seem to come across on this podcast a lot. But we do a lot of horror, as we said many times again. Tyler, what did you think? Since you were the one that saw it actually away from all of us.
The most recent.
Yeah.
I don't hate it, but I think just kind of misses the mark a little bit for me.
Okay.
I think there is a a level at which you think this movie's very pretentious, but it's also very simple in the way that it kind of does it. And I think that's kind of the hard part that I kind of play around with in my head. It's that it's simple and it's trying to be so pretentious.
Sure.
That it can really back away from that and kind of settle on the foundation of itself. And I think it would be a better movie.
Something more similar to like X, where it kind of knows what it is. And that's similar.
I think this is just trying to push a little bit past, or it's just trying to be like upper
message.
class. Yeah, it's just it portrays a message without it having to be on that level, and I think that's kind of the biggest mark for me as far as a miss. But I mean, super aesthetically pleasing from a visual aspect. Yeah. It's cool to see that kind of perspective in the British countryside, and kind of being able to explore that in a horror movie. It's a very eerie place if you put it in the right place, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, they made great use of this.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely a place. That's something I didn't even think about too much, but just like that's what it's like. Like in certain places, if it's nighttime, you don't have a great view of what's going on around it. It's dark, and like sometimes you'll be out and there'll be other people out too, and you kind of get that, ooh, I don't really can't see him that well. Like if I go over here, I've got enough space to get away, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Setting wise and visually speaking, I really, really liked it, and I think that was a bit of a redemption. But you kind of just think to yourself, what did I just watch? But it doesn't really need to be that.
I thought it was very telling that they, at least in our showing, they opened this movie with a trailer for the next David Cronenberg movie. And I was just like, yep, we're in for some body horror. Here we go, folks.
That trailer is wild.
So, yeah, some pretty visceral scenes in this, which is again, another kind of redemption factor of it. But yeah, I think I'm going to be a little more on the not recommend factor.
Okay.
Just because this is going to be for less people than more people.
Yeah, okay.
And it just missed the mark for me a little bit. And so I'm probably gonna end up being a non-recommend, but I'm open to see why I should be if any of you feel that way. But Blake, what'd you think?
Yeah, kind of similar to Nathaniel. Having seen some of Alex Garland work and seen Annihilation, and I actually think pretty highly of Annihilation. I had an idea of the film I was walking into, and to be honest, it's about what I thought I was going to get. And I would say overall, I liked it. To Tyler's point, the cinematography in this movie is awesome, though, which is expected. Having watched Annihilation, and just a lot of the shots he has kind of in open fields and things of that nature, and kind of the dandelions is very similar to things he does in Annihilation.
For sure.
But yeah, overall, I would say I like it. Not to kind of jump into spoilers or anything, and I would do a recommend. I do understand Tyler's point, though, like this isn't for everyone. It is like the coin term elevated horror, like as like Scream references and things of that nature. Right? If you've been around the horror community, I would say this definitely is something that would fit in that genre. Yeah. Overall, I would recommend it to somebody.
Yeah, and I think as like an addendum to that too, Waz hated this. Like he came out of this and it was just like, dude, like this is just not for me. And like that is something I think too, like especially for me and Blake, like there's a certain amount of like kind of sadism that we do have of just like, like, oh yeah, like you come out of it and you just go, ugh, like that was weird, and then you kind of like, but we all experienced that together. We got through it, like and like I was coming out of this after the last 30 minutes of just body horror and insanity, and just chuckling to myself like that was crazy. Yeah. But for other people, it'll just be like that was awful, and like I just can't do it. So I get it. I really, really do. But Adam.
Yeah. I think I came out more positive than you guys. And again, I haven't seen Annihilation, but love Ex Machina.
Sure.
And there's not nearly as much body horror, if any, really in Ex Machina. It's more of a thriller. So not seeing Annihilation, I didn't have those expectations. So when it took that turn,
Sure.
I was not expecting that, and so it was a little bit different. It had much more of a shock factor for me, and I think you guys probably even saw me react to it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, "Oh, Jesus, that's a turn." But overall, I did enjoy it. I can understand everyone's gripes with it, like Tyler saying, it's a little pretentious by being but also too simple. Like I can totally see that. But I overall did like it, and besides that kind of shock part of it, the storytelling was really good. I liked that back and forth that they have kind of going throughout the movie, and I don't want to say too much because I forgot we're not really in spoilers. Right. Yet. So I like the storytelling aspect. Great cinematography. Like I said, they make great use of that countryside and that theme throughout. They just use that really effectively. That sense of isolation too, where she really can't get help, and again, don't want to get into spoilers, but she has to call the police at one point, and it was just like, oh, I don't know if they're really going to come because she's so isolated, it was that far out. So when you don't have that safety net, because that's a big thing in say a Scream movie, kind of that they would make fun of, the police are close by, or help is close by. You don't have that there.
Right. In horror, there's certain things that you have to kind of go through the checklist almost of isolating your characters and all that kind of thing. So yeah, you're right. It's not a huge spoiler to say there is points where they have to get rid of why you can't just call the police, or get rid of why you can't just move out of the house or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's always interesting to see how different films try and go about that and navigate that.
Yeah. But overall, I did like it. I was kind of iffy coming out of the theater, but the more I've sat with it, the more I kind of like the themes and how they're presented, and it's easy to kind of read into more things. There's obviously an upfront message and projection from this movie, but even there's a less obvious but also still apparent message too.
Sure,
that's there, and I like that a lot because I think that's kind of approachable. And a movie like this where you're having these deep themes, if you have something to say, it says it effectively, and you could definitely get everything out of it that Alex Garland is obviously trying to say here. As far as my recommendation goes, I kind of agree with Ty where I don't know if I can recommend this to everybody. I think a lot of people will hate this movie if they watch it. That being said, if you think you have some interest in seeing it, or if you like Alex Garland, it sounds like if you like Annihilation, you might come out of this more positively. And I don't think it's a bad movie, because it's weird to say I like this movie, but I don't recommend it. It's just that kind of movie where it's just not going to be for everyone.
It feels like a B-side almost, from a musical artist, where it was just Alex Garland, he's I'm in the pandemic or something, I have something to make, I'm gonna make it with two people or whatever,
sure,
and just kind of do that. And it feels almost like a smaller kind of
small scale movie.
In some ways,
I got some time and money to kill,
right? And I don't know that I have no idea if that's true or anything like that, but I'm never gonna not see that, but at the same time I can also see and I'm thankful that is he has room to do those things that will turn off half of the audience and say I don't have any problem with you guys saying, well, I don't recommend this for most people, and I don't think it's a surprise that the two guys that are most steeped in horror have both been we recommend this one either. Right. So I think it's cool that these films still are out there, and I hope 100%. They continue to be so.
Again, we want new things.
Yep.
This is something I've never seen before, to say the least. So, in that regard, I would maybe go support it in the theaters if you have interest in seeing it. But Joe Schmo walks up to me on the street and asks if he should watch this, I'd probably say no, because there's a decent chance he would not enjoy it.
Fair enough.
All right, well, I think that being said, we've got all of our non-spoiler thoughts out of the way, so we're going to jump on into spoilers because there's quite a bit to talk about here. So if you've not seen Men and do not want it spoiled for you, go ahead, check that episode description where I've left a timestamp you can jump to where you'll be taken to the ranking of the movie up upon the Entropy list.
Up upon.
Spoilers.
Shit goes down.
This might feel like the most shit goes down that we've had yet.
In a little while.
In a while, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
So she comes across a forest demon.
Yeah. And
who is a man.
Who's a man.
Who is represented by all the other men in the town. And
are men trash? Is that what this movie's
they
telling
kind
us?
of try and attack her. No, I don't think that's the point. I think the point is it's representing all of the ways throughout history that men have kind of tried to hold women down.
Sure.
Like there's the police side of it,
sure.
and then there's the religion side of it with the priest, the children side of it, and then the the kind of drunken rage side of it. And then you have like the landed gentry, upper class, rich guy, and those are all the people that get reborn throughout at the end, and she has to overcome each version of it until finally, obviously, there's the husband, which is the most personal love side of things. And then so I think it's more kind of representative of all the different traumas that men have enacted on women throughout the years.
I'd agree with you.
But it's also still modern representations of each, because all of those characters still exist today.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
And just like again, and that's where the setting comes into it, I think, too, of like there is a huge part of this this is a very English film.
Yeah.
And there's a very English. There are messages and themes of that, like similar, even if we want to like draw the comparison to like Mr. Morale and Big Steppers, that like if we're because
Didn't
we're
think
not
we were going to compare men to Mr. Morale.
No, but like because I'm not a young black man from Kendrick's area, which that album is much more like directed to, almost like laser guided to that kind of audience, and I think this in some ways is laser guided to that English male audience as well too. So there are points of it that we're not going to get.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's kind of my initial big things off of it as well too.
No, I'm with you on that. You can kind of see all the things this stands for, and from like a woman's perspective, is the best we can from a male's eyes, right? But yeah, I think that's what kind of makes this movie good, is to be able to see that. I mean, everyone is mostly aware of kind of the setbacks and like how there are victim blaming and things of that nature towards women. But it's good to see that kind of be portrayed right in the film industry and in the horror industry as well, and kind of play off on how you can make a horror movie out of that, because as they say, the scariest things are things that are accurate. And to Adam's point is, all the characters in this film are characters or are people and personalities and traits that exist in real life.
Yeah.
That some men have. So it was good. I mean, it was definitely a turn, right? I mean, I kind of had an idea that it was gonna have some really weird, bizarre. Because Annihilation has a shit ton of body horror.
It's when the arm goes. It's like as soon as the arm goes, it takes a hard left.
The hand in the mail door.
Dude, that was so brutal.
But that was good, and there's a lot of good cinematography shots. The scene in the tunnel is awesome.
Yeah,
they had that in the trailer, and then the actual scene in the movie. I mean, that scene probably lasts like 5 minutes.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? It's actually
and it was
really
like
long scene.
it was like so long where I was like just unnerved by how long that scene
you're like,
lasts.
something's got to happen
She keeps
eventually.
singing, and and I remember in the trailer the like figure that stands up at the end of the tunnel, and you obviously if you've watched enough horror, you can predict something's happening at that tunnel, you know?
Yeah.
But it just kept going, and I was like, stop standing there.
Yeah.
Stop making these weird noises. I don't like it.
And they did just such a great job of just putting you there, just like, okay, how far away is it that I need to keep distance? And like, no, you're not going fast enough, lady. Back away quicker. Like, get
why
out
are you
of there.
not turning over your shoulder?
Yeah.
Why do you not look around? Turn around.
That was
Run faster.
cool. The
do you
arm
guys-
shot to you guys point out was awesome. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, did you think like when she gets back to there, was that supposed to be the same tunnel that she got to that was like cemented up? There's a couple times that I got lost in the geography of this movie.
I think the point was like she also did. Like she didn't know how to get away.
Okay.
I had that initial thought too. Was like, did she just make a circle and now that tunnel's boarded up?
Sure. Right.
I don't think so though. Yeah. I think that was just a different part of the path, and it's like her hitting a dead end.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's some symbology behind that.
What's the symbology there?
To me, I don't think that was supposed to be the same tunnel.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Tyler?
I don't think that was supposed to be the same tunnel, but only as much as it's kind of a repetitive thing that happens in this film. Like this is also happened to somebody else, so maybe that's just her also seeing somebody else's tunnel that's already been closed off.
Sure.
Or somebody that's already gone through this journey. And her path is obviously still open, and she still doesn't know kind of what she's doing with it, especially after something that she's gone through. There's a lot of trauma involved in that, and but that's also something I wish they would have played a little bit more into. I think you do understand like where she's coming from and kind of what happened between her and her husband, but I wanted more of that.
Yeah.
And I think there could have been a little bit more time spent there. And again, this movie has such powerful views and principles behind it that I think because for me it was trying to be more pretentious, like in the end with the births of all the different men's
rebirth trauma,
that was already kind of explained and done enough in the movie for me. I didn't necessarily need that portion of it, and that's the part where I was like, oh, this is trying to be very, very film.
Yeah, it's a movie that plays with ambiguity, but also seems like it wants to answer its own ambiguous questions.
Right.
And then there's bits of it that it leaves ambiguous that because it's already tried to answer some of those other questions in a more kind of satisfying way, just leaves you frustrated. Like I know Waz, when he left the movie, was just like, well, what the fuck was it? Like, what was it? A demon? Was it a ghost? Was it a some sort of forest creature? And like my reading is it's some sort of kind of like fairy, old folk, like English countryside creature demon thing.
Chupacabra.
And it representative of males, and if you want to get into how the kind of male hero that has emerged out of England's history or anything like that, I think that's totally valid reading as well too. But I would have even loved and even almost like a Del Toro-esque link between like that kind of big stone coffin they had in the Green Man and kind of all of that stuff a little bit more in there. I do think it's almost significant too, like Green Knight, like that kind of character was almost similarly represented there as well too. But these are all things that I make it interesting and to discuss and all that kind of stuff. But I think to what you're kind of saying, and even to what Adam's point a little bit, those ambiguities and kind of ambiguous questions almost detract from it as a movie experience in some ways, and where you can leave it feeling a little less than satisfied.
Facts.
Yeah, to me, I was okay with them not answering what that was. I understood like the message, and I didn't feel like that needed an explanation. Once all that stuff started going down with like the bursts and everything like that, and you kind of realize, oh, this one thing is just kind of representing everything or all the men. I was just like, okay, I can understand like what they're trying to make that. And it didn't. As much as I would have like kind of like I agree. Like it would have been nice if they tied it to some fable, or maybe there is that we don't know because it's an English story, as you were saying. I'm okay with where they left it, kind of just leaving it ambiguous.
Sure.
Yeah. To Tyler's point where we could have spent more time with the husband, I do and don't agree with that, because like I understand your sentiment of wanting more time with the husband, but I did like that storytelling aspect if we cut back to like everything that happened.
I agree. I like that.
I like that a lot where they cut back to that. And I also liked that character being kind of the most modern representation of like a male manipulation.
Just Gaslight Central.
Exactly. Yeah. And kind of holding control over a woman's feelings just by like the threatening to kill myself.
Yeah,
like
don't
that
you
kind
love
of shit.
me?
Yeah, like that kind
Which
of shit.
is, let's not cut you off on that, which is like, I feel like we should like deep dive on that too, because like that is something like that would be crazy to hear.
Right.
Like in a real setting of like, hey, like I don't think this relationship's gonna work out, and and you're trying to go very adult, and they're like, okay, like I'll just kill myself if we go.
Well,
that route.
Have you ever had that?
I have.
I remember hearing stories in colleges of like guys that would do that, and then like passing them in the hallway and just be like, "You're just a fucking crazy person."
Yeah.
Like it like hearing from like friends of a friend, about like guys that would go to that length or like get into that thing or anything like that. I've been lucky enough that I've never experienced something like that, but it's just like, I think the movie does a good job of just portraying how that's hell. And just like,
man.
Fuck.
I've heard secondhand from like, a friend of a friend kind of thing
Right,
that's
for sure.
happened to. And I'm just like, wow.
I've had a girl say that shit to me before.
Yeah, I'm with you, Ty, and that was one of the more difficult things I had to overcome.
Yeah.
As
Granted,
a
mine
young
was
adult.
in like freshman year of high school, so
Okay,
it like
for sure.
it didn't like it didn't quite hold you as much as what it does now.
Yeah.
But those are learned behaviors too.
But yeah, those are, that's like that. I'm like,
No, I hear you, man. Yeah, like I said, I've had that happen to me as a young adult, man. That was a very
just that I am not emotionally equipped.
Oh, man, yeah, that was tough.
And like you're using your own knowledge of you not being emotionally equipped against you too,
right.
that kind of thing of just being like, I can't handle this.
Yeah. So yeah, that's tough, man. So yeah, I mean that puts somebody in a very difficult position, man.
That's wild.
So yeah, I could definitely kind of have some feelings towards that or empathize towards that's probably the word I'm looking for, right?
Sure.
Where I was like, man, I've had somebody say that to me before, and it's kind of like, all right, I don't know how we're gonna go about this, And obviously, no matter how a relationship ends, like that's never your wish, you know what I mean?
So I guess
100%.
the question becomes: did you, as like a viewer, feel manipulated into those emotions or into identifying with her in those feelings? How did you feel like that represented up there?
Yeah, I think the way that portrayed on film was like very accurate of how that conversation goes, to be completely honest with you, in terms of like,
well, how else can it go?
Yeah, in terms of like, well, that's like the last thing I would wish for.
Of
you know
course,
what I mean? Like, so
me wanting to like end a relationship is different from me wanting you dead. Like very different things.
But to some people that doesn't register that way.
Sure.
Right? And I did like that they left it ambiguous what exactly happened once he left the room as well, too.
Did he actually want to do that, or did he slip?
Yeah. So how do you guys feel about that? Do you think he slipped trying to get down there to perhaps apologize, right? Because he did try to plead his case a little bit, like, oh, I'm sorry, and just like he's never hit me before, right? So do you think that?
I don't think it matters. I think when you force yourself in, like up another thing to like into another family's place, and then like down, and then like trying to jump from there to the next balcony or whatever. Like fuck that, dude.
For sure,
he doesn't deserve to die, obviously, but like that's just your
justification doesn't matter anymore.
Right? Yeah. You've crossed over the line clearly.
Yeah,
at that point.
and when he like grabs her phone and that kind of shit. That psycho shit. But I think reading into the movie, I think like if you look back at it, it does like when they make that eye contact outside the window as he's falling, it's interesting because like you could read that as both he was surprised, like oh shit, like there was an oh shit look on his face,
sure,
but it was also like that could also be like a look of regret, like oh what did I actually just do? Like you could read into that both ways, which I like it a lot. That's a very like great way to play that out.
And then obviously it's mimicked in the injuries that the whatever it is
the creature
the creature gets as well too.
Yeah. How long did it take you guys to realize that Rory was playing the same gentleman each time?
Well,
did
apparently, like until 10 minutes ago.
Well, I guess Adam didn't, which is Adam didn't notice it at all.
Just somewhat the extent.
So, okay, I won't say I didn't notice it at all. When the priest and the kid were next to each other in that initial scene, I was like, okay, that kid. Then when he shows up later, the kid definitely looked like he was CGI'd.
Sure,
I could tell that much.
Which was some of the weirdest CGI.
Like, he still had like facial hair.
Yeah, when
you
he
could
was
still
sitting
see
on
like
the
some shadow.
I was like, how old is this kid?
Yeah.
I'm like, is he 21 or is he 14? I don't know. But it makes sense. It makes so much more sense now, and I could see the resemblances between all the characters, and I should have guessed it sooner.
The barman, the other policeman.
No,
the drunk in the pub.
The two weirdos sitting in the pub.
Because now that I realize it, I'm like, I'm stupid. Like it's right in front of me the whole time, obviously. But credit to Alex Garland where they make these characters look different enough where I didn't feel like they were the same person.
Yeah, where you question it. Like,
and the performances, obviously.
And the performances, of course. Yeah, because is it Jeffrey?
Yeah,
the housekeeper.
Yeah,
that was my favorite one where he's acting just like super goofy and stuff, and he's like talking to himself almost because he's probably just grown up on that countryside. But that line where he's like, you've got the characteristics of a failed military man or something like that, or I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, and then it's like, well, that's what my
dad said to me.
It's just like an awkward silence, and like even what's the lead's character's name?
Harper.
Harper. Yeah, Harper. Even she just like kind of looks at him like what the fuck's that? I just love the look.
That doesn't make me feel safe.
We as the guys were like, oh, that's like he's trying to relate, but we're like, but she still just asked you to stay inside and not do the thing you're going to do. Like, it's sweet that you're trying to do this thing.
That comes down to, the image of the man.
Right.
Even though you're not capable of it, and you've probably been felt like your whole life, because there's a woman involved, you feel like you have to be the man.
And he says that. He's like, I'm saving the damsel in distress. And then he's like, he walks that back for a second. It's just like, there's always that, like, almost instinct that it's like your job is to be there to protect that person or that woman, and it's just like sometimes they don't need that.
But I think that's indicative it's not for a reason or for no reason that we've latched on to that moment. Like, that is a moment where you're illustrating those differences with the characters and their differences rather
Egos
than
and everything.
Giant visual effects or whatever. The kind of heavy-handed.
Because I think it would have been a very interesting choice to make that character the only one that's not part of the creature, but instead he does, because it's like this most unassuming man is still somewhat victim to all of the failings of men, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I love how there's even a few scenes in here, and I guess you kind of get this in all the quote-unquote elevated horrors, where there's so many opportunities where you're conditioned as a viewer of horror movies to assume that there's going to be a jump scare, and it never happens.
Sure.
And that's even more rewarding.
Was there any jump scares?
Not that I could think of.
But I was on the edge of my seat the whole time.
Yeah, there's so many times
one.
Or like the way the camera pans. The way like things that you're just like, something's going to happen,
The bit where he's the green naked man is just like outside
the window.
House.
I was about to say that's like
that was
the only jump scare, but it's like not. It doesn't. I think
it never happens. It's set up.
I think exactly. Yes, I think the biggest thing about it is like there's no sound. Like a lot of times, like in Get Out. In Get Out, when Georgia, I think is the character's name, the maid. Or
sure,
There's a point where she's in the window and there's like a shriek sound that comes with it. It's sound. I've even done a research project on this in my Psych at the Movies class that I had, where I did a presentation on like horror in movies and the psychology behind it. But it's just like the sound that accompanies a jump scare or horror is very crucial to an effective scare or having effective horror. And they just use sound very effectively in this, where there's never really a jump scare. The sounds are eerie.
You don't know if they're hearing it. You don't know if it's necessarily just for the viewer to hear.
The diegetic and non-diegetic. You want to throw those master's degree words.
You know where I was going with that.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah, I think the closest thing we probably get to a jump scare off the top of my head is after she locks when the entity is in the little boy form in the kitchen. She locks it in. Then he was like, now we can play hide and seek, right? And then she starts counting. And then that's the closest.
It comes from
the door.
Yeah.
But like, I also saw that coming, but maybe that's just because I have a high
I kind of saw that
movies,
coming
right?
too.
And I was like, okay, like that's inevitable.
But that line where the kid goes, "You should probably go hide. I know where you are. You're not very good at this," or something like that.
That's cool. I like that.
That was great. That was great.
Part of this, also why I like this is I don't know if any of you've seen It Follows before.
Yes.
Like, so much of this like also reminds me of It Follows, like him breaking through the door.
Yeah.
And like it'll be chasing her as one entity, and then it goes through a door, and it's another form of the entity. Yep. And like that's very It Follows-esque to me. So yeah, it's cool. All around. I liked it, man. Not my favorite horror movie ever by any means, but definitely better than a lot of like bullshit you can get to streaming.
I'm liking it to some more we talk about it. I might change my recommendation.
I like it's good, man. I like it.
I also like there's kind of like themes of more of like the primal differences between men and women. You had the dandelion, the apples with like the garden and Adam and Eve. Sure. Then you had like the dandelion fruit. And the seeds. That kind of thing, and then also it was an interesting choice to have the creature in the naked form. He just makes bird sounds, and like when she's in the tunnel, to me it said that like that's like she's making almost like a mating call. That's kind of what I interpreted it as. It sounded like almost like a mating call, and then his response. And he's
naked.
And he's naked. Yeah, and then he responds just in like bird noises in like the same kind of way. That's kind of where I picked up on. I don't know if you guys would agree with that, but that's kind of I like that.
Yeah, I think that's one of the best parts about these kinds of movies is you really it just leaves so much up into interpretation as to what you think something might be, and it's cool because nothing's wrong and nothing's right. It's just more or less what you see as a viewer.
For sure. Before we kind of wrap it up here, it's late. Let's just get on the recap of like the body horror that happens at the end of this.
Yeah, we never fully addressed that.
Yeah, so you mentioned that there's reference of babies, right, in My Name. I think it was Big Baby Blake, where, it goes through, 4 rebirths, I believe?
think it's like 5 or
It doesn't go through
6 almost.
every single
it goes to the
character.
little boy. It goes to the little boy,
So it's the creature to the little boy.
Well,
to
yeah,
the
it's
church figure. I can't think of his name.
The drunk guy to the little boy to the father or the pastor or whatever.
Yeah,
to her
the
husband.
vicar.
I think it's 4.
Yeah.
I think it's 4. I think her husband's the last one.
Her husband's the last one for
But,
sure. There's no policeman.
I think it's 3 and then the husband.
Yeah.
I don't think isn't the Jeffrey in there too?
he is.
Is he not the last one before the husband comes
Is he
out?
not the first one?
No, the first
Because he
one-
crashes the car and that's when it happens.
But I'm pretty sure one of them's the drunkard.
I think it's.
God.
I think it's
he
Jeffrey
crashes the car
into the
as
drunkard.
the entity.
Yes,
right?
I
As
think
like
it's.
the green knight,
got it.
quote unquote.
Oh,
right.
Are you sure? I thought
I'm
he
almost-
was still Jeffrey. I remember there being
It's
a
Jeffrey
close-up.
driving the
Yes.
car, but then when he gets
I
out,
don't.
and
Yeah, I
he's
don't think they're
naked-
counting that as a transformation. I think they're
Okay.
starting the green guy as the first
Yeah.
form.
Gotcha.
And then it's
Right.
kid, vicar, and then the husband. And then
I think so.
I believe so.
and then I think because there is another moment with
There
Jeffrey
is.
or something like that
Yeah.
later.
But yeah, that was awesome. What did you guys think of that? I mean, it's very
Very
Off-putting,
visceral,
gruesome.
Wild,
off-putting.
It's wild.
How they like keep the injury sustained throughout each rebirth is
Yeah,
pretty
and
interesting.
Waz pointed out, and I don't know if you guys picked up on this, but maybe not. But like each of the areas where each one was getting birthed from, where they went like that, it was like a wound, and then like it went vaginal, and then like they got birthed out of it. Was another area where he was from the fence, like had pierced him, kind of thing. The husband.
I didn't pick up on that, but I figured there was
Okay.
something around.
So
it.
like it's like there's one that's like on the back of his neck, and then one
Yeah.
that's like between his legs, and then like there's another one that's to the side, and it's areas where he had been pierced by the fence that he landed on.
I just thought
Each one
every
of those was-
injury that he had sustained throughout the whole house scene
Yeah.
were injuries that the
Right.
husband sustained. I didn't really take a look at like where they
Yeah,
were
but-
actually birthing from.
Yeah, but there was a few left, and those were also represented there as well too. And then
Okay.
like so at the end, the only thing that wasn't there left was the mark on his face, which I just kind of read as like she just buries the axe into it afterwards, and that's where you get to the end, obviously.
Oh,
Sure.
okay. I thought it was interesting that one of them is feet first, kind of like a C-section baby.
Yeah,
That kind of thing.
which is the final one too.
Yes. Yeah, the final one. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, but yeah, that was.
There is actually a feet first birth. It's called a breech birth, and it is not particularly good.
Yes, isn't that why they have C-sections most of the time?
Sometimes.
Most of the time, yeah,
Yeah.
but sometimes they'll actually try to rotate the baby
Oh, gotcha.
before.
Gotcha. Oh yeah, I forgot you could kind of do that.
So
Not an expert in birth, ladies and gentlemen.
I've actually birthed a child before
Oh,
Really?
Yeah?
in the back of an ambulance.
Oh,
How similar?
that's cool, man. Yeah, that's an awesome fun.
so as a
fact.
viewer, how
How
is
like
this similar?
for any ice breaking exercise, like that should be like your fucking go to.
Yeah, that's pretty wild, man.
Yeah.
That's some. Yeah,
We'll just leave it at that.
that's some real shit.
But yeah, man. Overall, it was,
So,
it was cool.
Ty, as a viewer, did you feel manipulated by by the monster?
the rebirthing.
Yeah, the rebirthing.
The one on the back was nasty though.
Yeah, that one's gross.
I'll give you that.
They're all kind of gross.
Remind me of Alien Covenant.
And also just like the long, speaking of gross, just the long, like probably 30 seconds of the monster pulling his hand back with a knife. We already kind of touched on it, but it was just so in your face. Like you couldn't look away from it.
Yeah.
The whole, like you just watched the whole thing happen. And then he grabs her by the neck.
Yeah, it does the
Yeah,
weird
that was nasty.
Oh,
Yeah,
that was
one of the ones that
Total
made me
Recall
cringe.
arm
Oh,
split
that made me
thing.
cringe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some interesting combinations of like body horror, right? The isolation we talked about without jump scares, like very different kind of horror movie.
For sure, man.
Yeah.
Where y'all want to rank it?
That's a great question. Welcome back, listeners who skipped over the spoiler segment of the podcast. It was a great spoiler talk. This was, I feel like, a great kind of dissection, and I'm very happy with where it went. So check out Men if you have not already, based on our recommendations, and come back, give a listen to the spoilers. But we're going to go ahead and rank Men up upon the Entropy list. For those of you who do not know, the Entropy list is Back Row Banter's official list of every movie we have reviewed, regardless of genre, regardless of anything else, all on one fantastic list. This is essentially how we rate our movies, rather than do it out of 5 stars, out of 10, whatever that is. We throw up all the movies we review on a list and see how they compare to one another. If you'd like to reference the Entropy list for yourself, you can do so by checking the episode description, where it is linked to my Letterboxd.
Interesting.
Very interesting. Because we're also kind of split as far as what is 2 and 2 for recommendations.
Yes. And like I like this movie, but there's like in terms of enjoyment factors, I think is going to be a big one on this one.
Yeah, it's like I didn't necessarily enjoy the viewing, but I like the movie and
the rewatchability.
That's the kind of movie that it is, which is interesting.
And so like going kind of from that, the movie that actually jumped into my mind kind of when I initially came out with this was actually Antlers. Which I kind of also put into that like same vein of like horror movie that maybe takes itself a little bit too seriously.
Because Antlers,
so now I look at that and that's very low down there.
I think this is way better than
Antlers. And I agree. So then I go up towards the top and then I look at like X, Last Night in Soho, that's Halloween, The Strangers, but like all of those are just movies that like, man, I would pop those in on a Friday night or a Tuesday night or whatever. And I don't feel that way about this movie. So then I look at New Scream, and I think that's kind of around there. And then the next one kind of down is Insidious. Insidious, definitely.
That awfully low.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know what we were thinking.
I agree there. But anyway, so like I'm going to go, I think, in between that range. And I think I'm going to actually put this at 59. So above Eternals, below No Time to Die.
59.
Okay, fair.
Okay. Good spot.
Ty?
I am going to be a bit lower because all the movies you kind of pointed out are things that I would rewatch.
Sure.
The Descent is something that comes to mind because you can just you just can't put this past The Descent.
I agree.
And obviously, we have talked about The Descent being too low. So the next thing that came to mind for me was Candyman. And I didn't hate Candyman. I don't hate this. But I think I would probably turn Candyman on before I turn this on for a rewatch. So I'm going to go with 73.
Interesting.
73. So
fair.
Below Candyman, above Mortal Kombat. Blake, you got an idea?
Yeah, this one's tough, man, because I'm looking at The Descent and Insidious, two that I feel pretty highly of, to be honest with you. I just think that they're
criminally low.
Slightly incorrect on the Entropy list. And then I kind of look at the horror movies list of like Halloween Kills, Antlers. I think this is levels above that in cinematography, plot, character development, everything, right? Then you jump up closer to the top or like the midsection of a horror where you got Malignant, A Quiet Place, X, which X I actually really like, to be honest with you. Last Night in Soho. It's hard, man. I don't think I can go above Malignant. Quiet Place is tough. I like X. I would watch X way before I watch this movie.
Right.
Like 10 out of 10 times, to Nathaniel's point of like, I'm at home, I want to watch a horror movie on a Friday night, I'm clicking X. Without a doubt.
X is fucking dope.
X is cool. Yeah. X is cool. X is cool.
That Kid Cudi.
Yeah. Sure. And it's just a slasher at the end of the day. I gotta go. It hurts me to put it this low, but I gotta go 68.
I'm right there with you.
Okay.
Yeah. For me, it's The Blind Spotting, and then looking at the couple of movies above that, Tenet, good. I have my gripes, but like The Notebook, Insidious, Top Gun, The Rock, all movies I just enjoy, and the rewatchability we talk about too, which is something we constantly factor in. So I'm also at 68. Rounding us out at an even 67.
Okay.
So right below The Descent and above Blind Spotting.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. The Descent's awesome.
Or do we tie break it with Blind Spotting? How do we do this again?
Well, Blind Spotting's going to smoke it, so.
Yeah, this is a 6.4.
Okay, so then is that 68 or 67? Do we want putting above or below Blind Spotting?
Put it below.
Below?
Yep.
All right. So then 68 is, I guess, where it lands. good spot. It's hard to rate this one because it's a movie I ultimately enjoy, but don't necessarily enjoy watching. And we talk about the rewatchability. We talk about the first viewing of it, that kind of thing. The more we talked about it in that spoiler segment, the more I was like, I like a lot what this is doing. Movie. Yeah. You know what I mean? But
just because we put something low doesn't mean it's not a good movie.
Agreed. True. We have too many good movies on here for us to say any of these are bad.
True.
So maybe we just need more bad movies.
I could have thrown this thing down by Trick or Treat.
Yeah. True. The Trick or Treat's criminally low, as we've stated
Facts. Before. There's a lot of things on here. I think Black Widow at 60 is really high, too.
True.
Yeah. Every time I look at that.
Yeah.
We were young and naive.
Yeah.
It's got Florence
Well,
Pugh
it's just
in
how,
there.
it's just how
I think that's what influenced my vote.
Yeah. It's just how this list shakes out sometimes where you put things above certain movies and then that ends up putting other things down and that cycle repeats itself.
Right. But let's get out of here. We've been talking a long time.
We have. Well, I'm assuming we don't have a 5-star review, but we'll probably just skip over it anyway. But if you want to hear your thoughts read out on pod, give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Could be positive, negative, mean, funny, anything. We'll read it out on the podcast as long as it's 5 stars. If you don't want to do that, you could also send us an email with anything that you want us to know or any questions that you have for us. This is the type of time of pod when we would have more time to talk, where we'd love to answer a fun question. So send us those to backrowbanterpod@gmail.com. Follow the show, share the podcast. Share it with a friend, a family member, maybe a man that you meet on a lonely retreat, and then turns out to be several men.
If he's several men, that's more listeners for us.
Is that a spoiler? Do I have to cut that?
No.
Maybe.
Okay. Well, it's ambiguous enough where I'm going to leave it. Yeah, share with people, please. We want to grow.
Men is plural anyways.
Yeah, true.
Sorry.
It's basically in the trailer.
Okay. Share with anybody you can. We want to grow, and we need your help doing so. So please do that. Follow the show on Twitter at Banter Row, on Instagram at Back Row Banter Pod, and our YouTube. It's just Back Row Banter. BlakeHolder, where can the people find you at, my man?
Letterboxd, BlakeHolder. You can find me on there. I'll be logging some things out of 5 stars. Actually might put some thoughts down on this movie, just because I think I did like it a little more once we kind of sit down and talk about it to Adam's point. So I'll probably go on there and drop some jewels. Certainly don't think I'll be leaving a review for Top Gun. So that's all I've got to say.
You say that, man, but I think you're going to enjoy the sequel quite a bit more than you think.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
I would hope so. Nathaniel.
Twitter and Letterboxd at NS Gingrich, Instagram at NathanielG92. Join us next week, Top Gun Maverick. Here we go. Tyler.
Twitch.tv/UltraBajo87. I like to stream. I like to play video games. I'm really liking Apex. And Instagram, Letterboxd, and Twitter, all Tyler Vidalis, Vidales. Adam.
You can find me on Twitter at Aish24 and on Twitch at twitch.tv/Aish, where I stream quite a bit of Halo. Quite often. It's been fun. Love it. Still addicted. Anyway, thank you all for listening. That's it for episode 103. Men. I'm going to keep that going as long as I can. Thank you all for listening, especially if you made it this far into the podcast. You're my favorite type of listener, and we really do appreciate it. Join us next week for our review of Top Gun Maverick. Oh, I didn't say that. Yeah, next week is Top Gun Maverick, if you couldn't have guessed already. We kind of alluded to it.
Yeah, we said it.
Yeah. So Top Gun Maverick next week. Join us for that, and we'll BRB.
Be excellent to each other, everyone, and we will BRB.
Thanks for dropping by. Do everything you can do to help us grow, and we love and appreciate all the support that you give us, and just be good to one another, spread that love, and we'll BRB.
Thanks for the support. Thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, share. We'll BRB.
America. Ready for another lesson.
I finally stopped listening to that album on repeat, but it was a solid week.
Really?
Week that
I'm
just
still rolling
only
strong, bro.
Yeah, are you?
I mean,
played it today.
I play other things in between, of
exactly,
course.
Yeah, but I'm still going back to it.
Yeah,
it's still really, really good.
I touch it at least once a day. I'll tell you that much.
It's been a big one for me, for sure.
Yeah, I keep going back.
Definitely, like, to the point now where, like, for the first few listens or whatever, I didn't know any songs. Like, I just knew the melodies and where they kind of were on the album.
Yeah,
and now I'm starting to, like, learn song names and stuff. And
song names, what to expect one after the other, that kind of thing.
There's so many times because the album, like, there are so many switches in songs themselves. There's so many times. There's so many times I'll be like, oh, what's that part where it goes like da 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 da, and then I'm like, wait, is that this song or is that this song? Because it could be either one. There's nothing. Yeah, there's just so many melody switches and beat changes. And
do you have a favorite song now that we're 1 week out?
Man.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're technically like 10 days out now or something like that.
I really like Crown.
Okay.
Crown's good.
Is that the Can't Please Everybody?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, melody in the background.
Yeah, and I like the Silent Hill one as well too.
Silent Hill is grown.
Is that the one with Kodak?
Yeah, but it ends with like, I'm stressed out.
Yeah, yeah. I know that's not bad. I like both of those. I like the joint with Kodak as well.
What about you, Blake?
Oh man, that's tough. I really like Father Time.
Yeah.
Father Time is really good.
I really like that.
I feel like with your sports background, that's obviously got to hit close to home, especially like in the chorus and everything.
Yeah, that one's good. I actually like Savior a lot. That's the one that's probably growing on me the
Savior.
most
Yeah.
now.
I love the intro to that.
Yeah,
Not your savior.
Yeah, that's growing on me the most. And then
Teacher
third
told you
is
to get a money counter.
Yeah, that's my favorite line.
That's my favorite one too. It's just so funny.
Yeah,
I love Kendrick's kind of like white voice character that he does whenever he does that.
yeah.
What is it on the? I think it's Family Ties. He's like, pop off only on occasion, brother.
Yeah. He even brings that back in Rich Spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So all around, I like that. And then I don't know what's the name of the second to last song. Was it Mr. Morale?
Yeah.
Maybe it's just called Morale.
No, it's
That's
Mr.
Mr.
Morale.
Okay, yeah. I think
Mr.
that's
Morale.
That's probably 3.
Mr. Morale.
What about you, Adam? You got any?
Shit,
got a
I
favorite?
gotta look at these.
Mine will. Yeah, then that's the thing. They'll change too.
for sure.
Again.
Yeah,
every listen
Yeah.
is just like, oh, I like this one a lot now. I think N95 is still up there. Just because that United in Grief is really good, and like it's such a great intro, and then like that transition to N95 is really good. Worldwide Steppers is great too.
I do like Worldwide Steppers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so like, it's not my favorite song on the album, but I'm still so fascinated by We Cry Together. Like I really like.
That's
when it
definitely
gets to
the
that.
one I like skip the most. Where I'm
100%. I've
like-
skipped it too. That's the thing. It's just like when I want to casually listen to it.
I can't go through this right now.
Yeah.
I
I let that one ride every time.
Yeah.
The one I skip the most is Purple Hearts.
Yeah, that was
skip that
Purple
one
Hearts
the
is so
most.
forgettable.
that's definitely the one that like I when I went through the album a second time or a third time, I like kept getting caught on it and like having to start it over again or start it over again.
Yeah. Yeah, Savior's really good. I like what is Baby Keem's?
I think he's on Savior.
He's on Savior, but he
Right.
has like his own song or like his
He's
own
on like
half of
the
song.
I don't know what's the track because some of the songs have like interludes.
Yeah, he's the other.
He's on the
interlude,
one
I'm pretty
Is
sure.
he
before
the
it.
other interlude?
Yeah, I think he's on the one right before.
Oh, he's on the
I
Savior.
believe so.
He's the Savior interlude.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, that honestly, the interlude's like really good. Oh man, Anti-Diary still hits.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that one's good. I think that song's gonna age like fine wine.
I really like the
That song's gonna
beginning.
be awesome in like 10 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my. I really like the beginning of that one and the beginning of We Cry Together as well too, where like the choir intro goes in
Yep. Mhm.
first.
Yep.
And then he like sets the scene like he always does.
Yeah. They Turning Tables hit it spot on where this does kind of feel like a stage play.
For
Between
sure,
the intro
yeah.
to and then especially with the outro too,
Yeah.
where it just feels like it's like, all right,
Well,
this
the-
is the conclusion.
Even like the albums being split in half, like the intermission and everything.
for sure.
the
too.
intermission, and then you have like the tap dancing.
Yeah, you have the tap
big
dance for like
steppers.
almost every song.
Yeah,
almost.
yeah.
It's at least half the songs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, it's dope, man. It's dope. Definitely gets a lot of playtime.
Die Hard's still so good.
Yeah.
Rich Spirit.
That song's awesome. I can't believe your brother doesn't like that song.
I can't either.
Like,
I can't.
That's
I
like
can't
the
believe he
one
said that.
song I feel like I could play in almost any setting, regardless of your genre.
That one I will
preference.
blow up first off the album because I feel like albums nowadays.
Drakiest.
It's just, yeah, exactly. It's definitely the Drakiest.
Just a good song, man.
Yeah, a great song. It does sound like Views.
Yeah,
like you could put that song in Views and it would fit right in.
This album does make me like, and just Kendrick's like general willingness to talk about it just does make me fascinated that him and J. Cole project never really got off the ground.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, I don't think that's ever gonna release.
No, I don't think so.
Sadly, it'd be awesome.
That would be incredible because I think those are two of the best.
Yeah, I think that time has passed.
Or until like 20 years from now, until Apple just like heaves a gob of money at him and it's just like, go finish this and like makes like a 3-part documentary special about it.
Right.
Could very well see that happening. Or they pull a Wu-Tang Clan and it's like, all right, we're gonna sell this album for auction.
After they've both won Pulitzers.
Yeah. No, Savior is so good too. That's like, yeah.
I genuinely think he like releases a poetry book next or a movie or like a poetry performance.
He should. He could do it.
I think with like his
his lyrics are just poetry.
I think
like
his move out of TDE or something, like he writes like a play next or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I would do
like him establishing the PJ Lang thing and all of that stuff.
Yeah, it was interesting for me that he went with like his new nickname for this album was OK Llama or Oklahoma, whatever it is. But then he never really
does that
uses
every
it.
album.
You know, he does, but in the other albums like Kung Fu Kenny and Damn.
Yeah, Kung Fu Kenny.
Yep. But like in this one, it's Kodak Black says it once in his interlude, and then that's it. The rest, I don't know why he just didn't call himself Mr. Morale this time around. I mean, obviously that's the title of the album, but like OK Llama was only mentioned once, so I don't really understand that part. But
yeah, I don't know. I wonder the origin of that.
No, I'm good. Thank you though.
Thank you.
I saw a TikTok on the origin of OK Llama.
Honestly, it sounds like something that's very like Haitian.
It's biblical once again.
Okay.
It means like man of the people or something like that.
Sure.
Let me see if I can find it. I sent it to someone.
Yeah.
So I'll
it
see
just
if I can
sounds
find
like
it.
something that's very like South Floridian, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, while you're looking for that, yeah. Overall, just a great album though, dude. I mean, it's everything I'd expect.
Here we go. Oh, it's My People. Shit like that, he's just such a genius. Like, I could never think of that.
I keep thinking it always reminds me of the Tyler the Creator song. I think it's the like end of Tamale. Or it might actually be a different one after that like interludes in, but he's talking about his actual last name is like Okoma or something. He's like, what the fuck's an Okoma? And like that's all I think about every time I hear or see Oklahoma.
Yeah, I gotta give Damn a full listen through again to see how I like them together. But it's like so hard to compare the two albums, and I don't think they really should be compared.
It definitely feels more like To Pimp a Butterfly.
Yeah, that's actually the first album I played this morning.
Was Damn?
No, it was To Pimp a Butterfly.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it's very To Pimp a Butterfly-esque. I think it's a little more commercial.
Definitely.
But at the end of the day, I mean, that's because he's just a megastar artist now. Like, you know what I mean? It's like
without a doubt.
He's gonna stay true to his roots, as you can see.
Yeah.
But you're still gonna get some of the huge influence of him just being a massive artist.
Yep.
Just that like thumbnail of him for the Heart Part 5, just like standing to the side with that like look on his face. Like, it's just so iconic now.
Yeah.
And like the Damn album cover too.
I love that album cover. That's awesome.
Do you guys
I wish I
remember-
had that on vinyl.
Do you guys remember? I was thinking about this recently. Remember
I
that
think I do.
that
It might
like
be over there.
conspiracy that Kendrick was going to release
A
a second album called
yeah.
Nation 3 days after he released Damn.
Yeah.
Because it was supposed to be like the rising of Jesus Christ kind of thing, and so it was like released near
It was
Easter.
like it was released on Good Friday. Or
Yeah,
something
Good
like
Friday, and everyone thought
4/17.
it was gonna. Then there was gonna be a second half called Nation. There was gonna be Damnation. That would have been epic.
Yeah.
Like everyone gets so hyped for Damn, it comes out, it's critically acclaimed. 3 days later, another album. Oh
yeah.
my God,
That'd be dope.
Oh
I just
my
don't see
God.
him giving anybody that much access to him or that much access to his music.
Oh no, but like if you planned that out beforehand, you know what I mean? Like,
For sure.
If you actually planned that, not like
But then,
succumb
like,
to people wanting that. To happen.
He kind of works in spurts like that though, because like after Damn, you had the Untitled Unmastered like really quick. Or no, after To Pimp a
I think that was
Butterfly.
before, yeah.
That was
That
before
was
Damn.
like all the offcuts of that, and then like after Damn, you
Great
had
album, by the way.
the
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Black Panther soundtrack too, like
Yeah,
where
you're
he
right.
like
Yeah,
curated
about
that.
it.
and
Yeah, about
was over all
yeah.
over that.
that was pretty much all TDE, I believe.
I wonder if they'll do that for the sequel too.
Probably.
Hey, I never thought of that, to be honest with you.
Well, maybe not if he's with TDE anymore.
I'd like that.
They're not with TDE.
I mean, I guess even if he wasn't in it and it's still the rest of the TDE did it, I think that'd be awesome too.
Yeah, they
And
could.
just to hear
Or would there be like
SZA,
another
J
artist
Rock and
they
stuff.
go with at this point now? Like, is he
Maybe.
no longer in the zeitgeist in that way?
Nah, he is.
I don't know though. For like the younger generation though,
True.
like the Gen Z, not Zers, like the one below you guys.
I don't know what they're called.
I would bet they don't listen to Kendrick Lamar.
Probably not.
No.
I want to know what they listen to though.
Too cool for it.
Jack Harlow? Who the hell is that?
Yeah, I think they're probably big on them. They're probably big on. Like,
It's like all
Lil
TikTok
Nas
people.
X.
I just
yeah,
don't even know
it's
about
so
them.
You know what I mean?
unfortunate because yeah, you're right. It's
Yeah.
and that's so weird to me too.
Right.
They like Island Boys or some shit like that. They can have that trash.
Yeah, they may be even like removed from all like the Lil rappers, like Lil Uzi Vert. And, like, all that
Yeah,
type of-
like,
they're
just
probably
after
removed
them.
from even like the SoundCloud stuff. You
Yeah.
know what I mean,
It's just TikTok now.
for sure.
Well, that remix of that Louis Theroux rap has like also gone on TikTok again, or
Yep.
like gone
Yeah.
super big on there. So
He recorded another song or something like that. Is that what you said?
Who are you talking about?
Louis Theroux. So he's the documentarian. Have you seen like the Jiggle Jiggle rap?
Oh,
Where he's like, "My money don't jiggle,
okay,
it folds."
okay, yeah.
That's Louis Theroux, who
So
Nathaniel's
he
referenced
actually
on Pod.
tries to make those songs.
No,
No.
he was so that it was a clip on that went viral on TikTok where he's doing an interview. Someone asked him about some show that he did, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I produced rap for this show." And she goes, "Do you remember any of the rap that you did?" And so he recites the verse,
Right,
from the
because I can
song
tell
that
it's
he wrote.
being like read.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so he, since that song blew up, he like went to a recording studio and I guess recorded another rap or something like
Oh, I
that,
don't
or was
know.
planning
I
on
hadn't
releasing
heard
one.
about
I
that.
saw footage of it. Because he now has a verified TikTok account.
I would be surprised if he like makes another documentary about it or something like that at some
He
point.
probably,
like,
yeah, I gotta check out some more of his stuff.
yeah, I love Louis. Yeah, so he used to do it like his original show that he got somewhat famous off of. Was this thing called Weird Weekends, where he would go over a series of weekends and hang out with just people on kind of like the outskirts of society. But it came out in like the 90s. So like the first one he did
Yeah,
was
that's what
like
it is.
white supremacists, and then it was like people that believe in aliens or like all this kind of stuff, or people in porn, then thing. And then one of them was rap. And like eventually he got with like somewhat like big rappers from like back in the day, like Master P and like people from that era, when it was more like a collective of people and you had like all the mixtapes that had like all the
Yeah.
crazy things on it. Like
Right.
you were part of a
90s hip-hop.
collective, like, yeah. And so he was like, okay, I'm going to try and do a rap. And then he like, part of it was like, he got coached by them and did it. And so that was part of the rap that he did. And then it came back on that interview and someone put auto-tune beneath it. Now it's a TikTok song.
For sure, man. That's the internet for you.
That's all it takes nowadays.